Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, you know? Just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. I had, for years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Ashley Flowers, and if you're like me and grew up watching America's Most Wanted and reading Nancy Drew, then hi, you're a crime junkie. And I bet that passion for solving mysteries never went away, which is why we've assembled a team of reporters to dig deep into all the cases we still obsess over. Each Monday, my best friend Britt and I will bring you a case that you won't be able to stop thinking and talking about. So join us by listening to Crime Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts.
This week, in Upper Merion Township, Pennsylvania, a twisted tree of relationships, including lovers, liars, and killers, inhabit a suburban school's teaching corps, leading to as many as 5 gruesome murders. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another wild, crazy episode of Small Town Murder. And man, is this one twisted and weird and wild and 70s and just... It's all sorts of big old bushes. Let's just say that. This episode is the episode of puffy pubes. We'll get into a lot of Velcro. We will get into it, but first, just want to say thanks for all that you do for us, number one.
Yeah.
And also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Oh, boy.
Get your tickets for live shows, especially Chicago, August the 12th. Tickets are going fast. It's going to be, right now, as it is, it's our biggest show ever.
Yeah.
Be a part of it. It's going to be, by the way, a Chicago-only live show, so it's a show you can only see in Chicago. Get out there, August the 12th. We cannot wait. And then a lot of the dates are sold out for the rest of the year. The only ones left with tickets, because D.C. just sold out. So
yes, it did.
Philly, Charlotte, Atlanta, Dallas. those are your
moving, too.
options.
Yeah.
And they're moving fast. So Philly's almost sold out, I think. So
Right.
get your tickets right now for all of that. And get in there and come out and see us. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. You certainly want to get Patreon if you want bonus episodes, because our bonus, we don't sit around for 5 minutes. They're hour-long, funny, really good episodes. It's like a whole other series we have going on over there. So
Right.
Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that. All you need, $5 a month or
That's it,
above,
yeah.
gets you a cup of coffee, will get you all the bonus stuff. First of all, you'll have a whole big back catalog of bonus episodes to binge on, a couple hundred of those, and new ones every other week. Best value in podcasting.
Yeah.
This week, what you're going to get for crime and sports, which you'll have access to, of course, we're gonna talk about the 1919 Black Sox scandal. So World Series throwing and mafia and all sorts of dirty stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Most dirty is how little they were getting paid back then, leaving themselves wide open to this. And then for small town murder, we're going to do something very fun based on some interesting goings on lately. We're going to talk about weird stories from the Titanic, which is strange.
Terrific.
So some survivor stories, some weird stories. Some lady threw a baby in a garbage can. It's really weird. There's some strange stories from this man when you get into the survivors' tales. Some stuff that was certainly not in the movie. And a couple other sea mysteries we'll get into as well.
I hope she did that after the iceberg hit.
No. She did that like right after, in the middle of dinner. She was just tired of it.
Right when she got on the bus.
Just right on the bus. This is inconvenient. That is patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that and more. Get in there and do that. And also keep an eye out for your stupid opinions. We finally got it all cleared up, and it's coming very soon. I don't know the exact which week, next week or the week after or whatever, but it's coming very soon. Yeah. We can't wait. Your stupid opinions. Keep an eye out on social media. We'll let you know all about that. But now we must do the disclaimer.
Yeah.
This is a comedy show. We're comedians, but that doesn't mean anything that we're saying is made up for any kind of comedic effect. You don't need to. That's the scary and sad part, is you really don't need to make up anything because the stories are so insane. And this one is no different. And if you think, maybe, how do you make jokes around murder? Very easily. It's a very crazy... What you do is you don't, there's nothing funny about the killings, but everything around it is insane.
Everything else.
I think I'll kill someone and then get away with it. That's a crazy thought to have.
Yeah.
That's worthy of being made fun of. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff. What we don't do, though, what we go out of our way not to do, is we don't make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why, James?
Because we're assholes.
Yeah, but
we're not scumbags. That's how that works. If you think that sounds good, awesome. If you think true crime and comedy should never, ever go together. Paths should never cross. I don't know. That's a boring life. But hey, you know what? To each his own. Have a good one. It was a bad first date. Didn't work out. But for the rest of you that want to hear a wild, crazy, insane story, I think it's time, everyone, to sit back, clear the lungs, arms to the sky, and let's all shout, "Shut up and give me murder." Let's do this, Jimmy. What do you say? Let's go on a trip, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We're going to Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah, baby. Back to Pennsylvania. There are very few states that are so different in different parts of the state.
Right.
Eastern Pennsylvania is way different than Western Pennsylvania. Yeah. You have Philly, which is like a big northeastern city, and then you have like the Amish, who are like 2 hours away. There's countries in Europe that don't have this much.
Drastic shift.
It's such a shift. Yeah, it's huge. So it's a lot. There's a big state. This is Upper Merion Township. Pennsylvania, which you might sound familiar to you if you're a basketball fan, because I think Kobe Bryant was a Lower Merion Township guy, wasn't he?
There you go. Yeah, I do see all those letters prominently displayed across the entire front of his jersey.
It's a long one, but that's
a lot of words.
That's why you still see that jersey in like places that sell retro jerseys. You'll see, what the hell is that? That's Kobe Bryant.
What the fuck is that?
It's a high school in southeastern Pennsylvania, because that's where we are here. I think it's on the other side of Philly, because our last episode, this is about 50 minutes to Philly and about 55 minutes to Fallsington, which was our last Pennsylvania episode, which was over like on the New Jersey border, and this is over kind of more into Pennsylvania. The last episode was episode 360, Meth, Meat, Money, and Murder, which was one of my finer titles, I must say. This is in Montgomery County, area code 610 and 484. So they can't be held to one area code, this town.
You get two.
Little bit of history here. The incorporation of this town dates to 1713.
Yeah, when there were townships.
Old school, yeah. When the King of Prussia Inn.
What?
The inn called the King of Prussia. There's a town called King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's near there. So
they got an inn.
Also the Bird in Hand Inn in Gulf Mills, and later the Swedes Ford Inn here. The reason why they incorporated was because they were required at this point to pay 6 shillings to the Pennsylvania legislature for licenses.
They still had shillings.
Shillings. That's how far back we are. 1713, 50 years plus before even American Revolution. So this is George Washington isn't even born yet. This is fucking
no kidding.
This is crazy stuff, man. Yeah. So the King of Prussia Inn was built in 1719, and I believe the structure is still there, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
It was named in honor of Frederick the Great and became known as during the Revolutionary War as a center of food and drink for people around here. And an alternate story says the inn was first called Berry's Tavern and got its name to lure in Prussian mercenaries who were like big spenders, apparently.
Fucking Prussians. I don't even know where the fuck that is.
Germany. That's Germany pre-1900-ish.
Prussia?
Prussia. Yeah, Germany is Prussia. So if you know anything about Prussian, that's German. It was the old borders of Germany and all that shit. So reviews of this town. Okay, here we go. I love the reviews. Here we are here. 5 stars. There is no place like Upper Merion. Terrific. Not only are the schools exceptional, we'll talk about one of them at least today, but the people who make up the community truly care about each other.
Okay.
That's nice. The residents of Upper Merion are willing to do anything to help out their neighbors.
Anything.
Let's put that to the test, why don't we? Let's see exactly what you're willing to do to help out your neighbors. I'm surprised. This is like, there's an 80-year-old lady and a couple of guys shovel her driveway. I feel like that's what this is, but
it's
not anything, really.
I can't. My sperm count's too low. Will you please bang my wife?
Yeah, please. Or
we
at
want
least...
a baby so bad.
Yeah, it's like the Mr. Show sketch.
What did I miss now?
I can only do it unless somebody's watching, and then this one wants it. So they have a couple over, and they're like, hey, we're trying to have a baby. And Bob Odenkirk's like, of course you can have my sperm. And they're like, no, we don't want your sperm. We can only have sex if people are watching. Will you watch us have sex? It's funny as shit.
Why are they such geniuses?
It's fucking genius, man. It comes up constantly on the show, too. It always, it's only on for 4 seasons, and everything can tie back to a Mr. Show sketch somehow. That's so weird.
Those 2 men. God damn it, I love them.
So here's no place like Upper Merion. Okay, now 4 stars. Here we go. Traffic is rough, and the area is being built up quickly, but the housing/family living is wonderful. They still manage to get that small town feeling, though this is far from a small town area. Okay. 3 stars. Providing better public transportation options, such as increasing the number of bus routes or expanding the train system, residents can have better access to jobs, education, and other essential services.
Yeah,
so
everything's right there now.
All they care about is they need to have more public transportation options, period. No other interests.
Okay.
Here we go, 2 stars. Okay. Now is the way they start out. Now, I love when they start a review out. Now. They're doing the old Bill Cosby now. Now, we have the good parts and the bad parts. Yeah. I'm going to list all the bad parts. That's how he starts out.
Is that what he says?
I swear to God. I'm going to list all the bad parts in order. Okay?
Bill Cosby could have said this.
Now. As you start to doze off, those are the last words you hear. So... 1, Swedesburg. 2, Kings Manor. 3, Valley Forge Homes. Okay. 4, Brandywine Village. These sound like neighborhoods, not like
You're right.
towns.
These sound like gated communities.
Yeah, it's like I don't like the people that live in those houses. 5, Swedeland/Hughes Park. 6, Sweetbriar. 7, Bridgeport.
Okay, so he's with 0 reasons. This is just the bad part.
I don't understand it. That's the bad. Okay. I was born and raised in Sweetbriar, King of Prussia, Upper Merion, which is the area around 611. 611? The fuck are you talking about? Until I moved. Yeah, around, I think, I don't know what they're talking about. Until I moved to Malvern when I was 15. My mom and dad said the crime was too rampant and it isn't safe. Well, that doesn't mean it's true because your mom and dad told you that when you were a kid.
Just because they said.
My mom said a 6-foot-tall bunny brought me chocolate once a year, too. So,
yeah, my mom lied her ass off.
We all do. We all lie to our kids constantly.
Yeah.
People sold drugs around 6'11". What is 6'11"? I don't know what that is, but he's obsessed with it.
I thought he meant between ages 6 and 11.
He just says around 6'11". My mom said the schools were bad. Well, whatever school you ended up in, that's your sentence. The academics were good, but the safety was bad, and the teachers are embarrassing. They're embarrassing. The kids are bad influences, too. She wanted me to get a better education. When I lived in Sweetbriar, I've seen a couple of my friends die. Jesus.
What the fuck?
They were just dirt bike accidents, but still, man, shit's hard.
You watched it?
I wanted to get out of Sweetbriar, but my parents couldn't afford a house where the district was good until she found Malvern. I hope the kids who are in Sweetbriar live a good life. Sweetbriar is one of the worst neighborhoods of town. I don't know what to make of that. That's local.
Awesome.
All that shit is real local, but
yeah.
I don't know what's up with that shit. Sweetbriar's his number 6 in his list of bad. So
yeah,
terrible stuff. Here's 1 star, much more succinct. This guy could have really got to the point.
1
Quote,
star.
1 star. I hate it. Period. Then they get into a whole sentence of capital letters here. It's just so, 3 O's, suspicious, and the schools I heard have a bunch of drama. A lot of hearing, and guy told me once, and my mom said. A lot of that going on.
Real sus around here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a good amount of crime. There's litter and a bunch of traffic. Not litter and traffic.
This is not a 1-star review.
No, you don't live on a farm. There's going to be litter and traffic somewhere. People of this town, 33,153 people currently reside here. So it's a pretty good-sized suburb, on the top end of what we do here. There's a few more females than males. It's pretty basically average. Median age a little bit higher, 40.7. Sure. Everything is pretty close, except married is 57%. It's a little above the national average, that sort of thing. But it's a lot of kind of married children. When the prices are high, so you kind of have to have it's a 2-income area here, 2 high-income area. Mom's a lawyer, dad's a doctor. We live in Upper Merion. It's one of those.
There's a dentist in the family.
Totally. Race of this town, 70% white, 4.8% black, 18.5% Asian, which is...
Is that right?
I haven't heard that in any place we've ever done or even talked about. That's very high for any American town. Not that that's bad. I mean, you can have as many Asians as you like.
It's just a fact.
Yeah, it's just... odd. It's not.
I didn't put them in different places at all.
I'm not putting a quota. Don't worry. It's not any shit like that. 3.8% Hispanic here. So it's usually flipped, between Asian and Hispanic. Religion in this town, 64.3% religious in a northeastern affluent town.
Oh, boy.
Who do you think those are? They are the
Ash
Catholics.
Wednesday is ugly around here.
Oh, man. 38.5% Catholic. Catholics are, as we know, the Baptists of the North. 4.3% Jewish.
Hey!
Oh, my God. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila. I don't know the words. Hey! All right. It's been so long since we've got to sing that. I'm so happy.
Fantastic.
Montgomery County, where this is located, in the last election, 62.4% of the people voted Democratic, 36.2% voted Republican, and 1.4% independent. So Upper Merion's unemployment rate's pretty low because, you're driving distance to Philly. It's right there.
You got no reason not to have a job. It's right there.
There's jobs there. Median household income here, though, is $80,068.
Hell yeah.
Which is a lot higher than the $54,000 average.
Great.
Cost of living here, 100 being, average, regular. Here it's 113. Oh, 113. So
that's much better than I thought.
I was going to say 113 point something, but it's not. It's just 113. So 113 isn't that bad, but the problem is everything else is affordable but the housing.
What is it?
Median home cost here, $451,700. So a little pricey. But that's Phoenix now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. everywhere in Arizona is out of fucking control.
Oh, yeah. Wait till you hear the Express this week. It's in Flagstaff. And wait till you hear what that's all about. So,
God, I already know.
It's crazy stuff.
I've tried to get there.
If we've it's so hard. We convinced you possibly to come here. We have for you the Upper Merion Township, Pennsylvania Real Estate Report. All right, your average two-bedroom rental here goes for, it's a little bit high, $1,470, which is high, but not like the housing. Here we go. Here's a four-bedroom, two-bath, 2,448 square foot place here.
That's
seems
big.
seems to be a pretty normal-sized lot, nothing huge. One room looks to have AstroTurf in it. I don't know what that's about. Someone was doing a
indoor,
putting
outdoor.
thing.
Yeah, it says indoor. We can use it.
I'm not sure, but otherwise it's clean. Inside, the outside looks like the inside, and the inside looks like the outside. The porch looks like it's indoors, and the living room looks like it's a porch. It's so weird. That's the best way to describe it. Like the stone and the wood used is like they use the outside shit on the inside and the inside shit on the outside. It's very, very strange. Otherwise, it's clean and meh. It's just, it's all right. But it's $499,000.
That's our base model.
For a whole lot of meh. Yeah, that's our stick with no AC right there.
Shit.
Here's a four-bedroom, five-bath, T-bowl for each and every bee-hole, one for the neighbors, 3,145 square foot, so very good-sized house on 1.15 acres.
Fantastic.
A little bit of room, a little elbow room. Little weird house. It's strange. It's built in 1953, and Allison had a good point here. She said she thought it was once a little ranch, and they kept building parts onto it, and that's what it looks like. They Frankenstein this house that's now 3,100, almost 3,200 square feet. It's real boring. It's just this raised ranch that they kept building stuff on. It's nothing special. $1,195,000 for this house, though.
1.1.
It's not even shit. 1.2 basically.
Oh my God.
1,195,000. So it's a little expensive for what it is here. Then we have a 6-bedroom, 5-bath, 5,954 square foot house. Wow. That's a big house. 2.49 acres, so some room. Built in 1920. It's pretty badass, I gotta say. It's like got stone. The outside's all like the stone front. It's probably not just, glued onto the outside because it was built in 1920.
Right.
It's probably actually stone. Right. Looks really good. Really looks like a rich old couple lives there. Like the decorative touches are like, oh, you guys are 90 and have done well for yourselves. That's nice.
You've been doing this since the 50s.
Yeah. If this is the house you want to get old and die in, though, it's not bad. Here it is, though. $2,500,000. It's going to cost you for that kind of security. So it's a little pricey around here.
How do you...
I don't know.
Understand
That's
how
a lot
people
of money.
manage that fucking mortgage. That's
a lot of money.
That's crazy.
You got to have a bunch. That's like you have to have a pretty good.
You got to have 20, right?
You're not like, okay, what? We'll put 10% down, and you can't be doing that, right? For that kind of money, you got to be doing like.
But if you have a bunch of money and you have a $2.5 million house, how much percentage-wise are you supposed to have wrapped up in your house to have that kind of house? Do you know what I mean?
I have no idea. And is that a good thing?
Because the fucking taxes and all that shit?
Is that a good thing, though? Because it'll appreciate with time rather than your money, which cash will devalue. We know nothing about money because we've never had any. So neither of us know shit about how to do it.
Water, all the fucking things that come along. I don't know how people do that.
I don't know how people survive, but what I do know is when they figure out how to pay their mortgage and they need to get out of their heads and do something, we have things to do for them. Maybe this will take their mind off their excessively high mortgage.
What do they got?
We have the Fall Fun Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Fall
yeah.
in the East. Fuck.
Well, all the festivals are like in October, too. November. It's all, let's come watch the leaves change. It's beautiful shit here. Food here is the hot apple cider and hot chocolate, obviously.
And whiskey.
A bunch of food trucks, although there will be whiskey. It's Pennsylvania. Food trucks, Petrucci's ice cream with fall-inspired creations. Susie Joe Donuts will be for sale.
Yeah.
There'll be a make-your-own s'more station.
What?
Gotta have that. That's impressive. That seems like open flames, probably
James,
dangerous.
I've seen a new thing. People take croissants, cut them open, toast them, put marshmallow and chocolate in there.
I do not abide that at all.
Oh, God, I want it so bad.
That's not a s'more, though.
No, it's not.
No,
that's
a
just
different
me being
thing.
fat.
Yeah, that's a different thing. A croissant's great, marshmallow's great, and chocolate's great. Actually, I'd rather have that because I don't like graham crackers, so I'd rather have that. I fucking hate graham crackers. They're gross.
But it's not a s'more. It's not going to taste anything like a s'more.
It won't be crunchy at all. It's just going to be
a fat man sandwich.
It's a fat sandwich is what it is.
Yes. And I want it so bad.
Yeah, it's called the Fat Kid Special. Can I have 1 Husky Pants and 2 drinks, please?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Farm Fun is the next category.
Yeah.
You got hay wagon rides.
Okay. I'm allergic. No, thank you.
Wow, that sounds great. All the kids
itchy.
sniffling and itching afterwards. A corn maze. That's nice. You get stuck in that. A lot of rats and shit pop out of that, too, so watch out in there. Every corn maze I ever hear, it's always like, oh, it's full of rats in there. Watch out. It's all it is. Farm photo booths. Why would you want a booth? But you're on the farm. Wouldn't you want the pictures to be of the farm?
Farm photo. So is the booth, does it have like corn stalks and maybe a scarecrow in there?
Which makes no sense because you are on a fucking farm.
It's right
you
out
could
there.
You could have that at the mall.
Bitch.
You don't. Maybe the back is just open. Maybe it's a big window behind you. I don't know what it is here. There's a hill slide. That seems real technologically advanced. There's a hill. Go on, slide on it now. Oh, okay.
Do you just like sit down on a burlap sack, or do you have like?
You got to bring your own hefty bag, and you just go down like that on it.
Bring your own potato sack.
That's how some of us used to sled when we were kids and didn't have sleds. You get garbage bags and do it. That's how poor kids sled. By the way.
Well, desert kids just sat on the trash can and flipped it over. The ones with the wheels on the sides, the ones that you set out. Yeah. We'd sit on those and we'd drag them up the top of the Sweetwater Hill and then sit them down on their backs and then just grind a fucking hole in them.
That's fucking awesome.
And then put them back in somebody's house.
Very hot. Though. Sounds hot.
Yeah.
There will be pumpkins for sale. That's helpful. Yeah. A trackless train ride. Which would make it probably not a train anymore, I think, at that point. I think the point of a train is it's on tracks. I think that's one of the qualities of a train. I don't have a dictionary handy, but I'm just going to go out on a limb.
Much more fun train ride, though, if you can actually make it go places.
That'd be good. Apple slingshot. That sounds fun. I'd love to shoot apples
dangerous.
at something. Oh, if someone's losing an eye or a head or an arm or something over that, their sight at least. But there will be fire pits and inflatable obstacle courses. You already have the corn maze. You don't need that. Yeah. There's also wheelbarrow racing, not barrow, wheelbarrow racing. I don't know what a wheelbarrow is, if that's a different thing or if it's just a typo.
Like
yeah.
I feel like a dummy wrote this.
That's probably it. Pumpkin tic-tac-toe. You can visit the live farm animals. There they are there.
Guys, knock, knock.
All of this while you listen to music from the, quote, idle woodsman.
Oh, boy.
Those guys. The Hedgehog Grill will be there. A s'mores kit sale. They'll have tavern games. Flashlight corn maze, as if it's not terrifying enough to have it.
Do it in the dark?
Do it in the dark.
Oh, my God.
And then the next day, music from the Ken Batista Band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you got there. Oh, and the Idle Woodsman will be back on Sunday in case for an encore performance. Crime rate.
There's shit while I'm running from rats in the dark.
The flashlight. Which fucking way? How do I get out of here? How?
I found more rats.
Oh, God, they're chasing us. I think it's a rat king. I'm not sure. Crime rate in this town. Property crime is high. High property crime here. Yeah, it's a high by at least a third. Litter, traffic, too high. Violent crime, though, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, less than half the national average.
Super safe in terms of...
in terms of, like, real shit going on. But some kids might fuck with your car or vandalism.
Don't leave it unlocked at night.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, that goes on. So, anyway, that said, let's talk about some insane fucking story here. Just an insane murder. Let's do this. All right, let's go back in time. Our story's going to take place in the 1970s, and it's a very 70s tale. Like, if I told you the tale and then said, guess what decade it happened, and you go, oh, it's the 70s right there, right? Like late 70s? Yeah, totally. Big time. Absolutely. So let's talk about Susan Gallagher. We'll start with here. Now, Susan Gallagher, she'll later be Susan Reinert later on when she gets married. So, but she starts out as Susan Gallagher. She's born September 1st, 1942, and she's born in Ridgeway, New Jersey. Or, I'm sorry, Pennsylvania, not New Jersey. It's a small town in northwestern Pennsylvania. So other side of the state, completely up near, I guess, Buffalo, out that way. Okay. So her parents are William and Jane. They were a newspaper. Her dad was in the newspaper business, and her mom was a school teacher.
Okay.
So she grew up in a nice kind of studious household.
Yeah.
Those are people that, went to college and studied and,
English language means a lot to them.
Exactly. Importance of education, that sort of thing. Susan here, everybody just called her Sue, but she wanted to be a teacher as well, following her mom's footsteps. So she went to college and got a degree in English. And at college, she met her future husband, Kenneth Reinert.
Okay.
Reinert, by the way.
Oh, Reinert.
Yeah,
for
real. You wanted to say Reinhardt. That's how I kept wanting to spell it, but no, it's Reinert. So he was enlisted in the Air Force at the time, as well. So they started dating as undergrads here. This is the 60s, too, so this is kind of Vietnam's heating up and all that kind of shit here. So Sue gets her bachelor's degree, and then she ends up with a master's degree in English from Penn State in 1966.
Awesome.
And Jerry Sandusky did not touch her. So she made out
terrific,
screaming out of there, just doing a good job here. Susan and Kenneth would get married, Sue and Ken, in 1965. Okay. So this is right after she graduated college and before she got her master's. So they started moving after school ended. They were moving all around because he is in the Air Force. So he's getting shifted here and sent there. They ended up first in Sacramento, California. So as far away as you could be. Then they ended up living in Rome, New York, which we know all about that.
Yeah.
We know why it's Rome and their statues, even though that was Georgia. But they ended up in Rome, New York for a while. Then they ended up in Puerto Rico for a while, too.
Oh, left the Continental.
So all over this time, during these times, they're bouncing all around, and they're having kids as well. So, they ended up coming back to the Philadelphia region and settling as a family again in 1971. But she stayed home for a while. She taught English at college in Puerto Rico. And then once the kids started being born, she came back to the state, to, the Northeast, and stayed home, basically, here. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News & World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's SONOBELLO.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So they have one kid in 1968, a daughter named Karen, and 1969, a son named Michael comes along.
Okay.
So that's what they have here. So nice little family forming out of these two. And Kennan's going to end up leaving the Air Force here after a while here in 1971. He's going to be done with the Air Force.
Okay.
And they're going to kind of settle down sort of here.
In Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, yeah. They're going to settle in Pennsylvania. Now, listen to how they just. There's an article, the Philadelphia Inquirer article. It's a pretty old article, but the way they describe people is wild. The way people used to be described.
What do you mean?
Like if it's in physical terms, is just so blunt and funny. It's like a description for a casting call that you'd send out. Like, you know what I mean? It's very blunt. Look, this is what we need. We need 3 fat guys, 1 bald, 2 with hairy backs. Get your ass. That's who we're looking for.
And
period.
A homely woman.
And a homely woman with a, who's at least 3 bills. We need one of those. Like that's how it is. It says, quote, Susan Reinert was not an ugly woman.
Okay.
Now,
what does that mean?
If the description of you physically is not an ugly person right away, that means that's not a complimentary.
No, it's not.
No, it's not at all. That means, they're not hot, but, that's what they're saying here. Quote, matronly and demure with dark-rimmed glasses and a sometimes squeaky voice. She was a devoted parent who took her kids to Little League games, swimming, gymnastics, and art lessons. That's how she's described in this article here.
I've banged worse. That's what they said.
I've had worse. Don't get me wrong. Closing time's coming. Lights are starting to come up. You go, hey, you grab what you can get. But, she ain't bad.
Not that I got it all my damn self, but look, here she is.
That's what I mean. It's silly, too. The way they describe her is like the secretary in Ghostbusters. Like the original Ghostbusters. That's the way they're describing
her name?
I can't fucking remember now.
Janine?
Janine. Yes.
Yeah.
Janine. Good job. Nailed it.
Potts?
I think you're right.
I think it's Potts.
I think you're right. Miss Potts.
Is that
Miss Potts? I think that's.
Was it Janine Potts, or is it her real last name is Potts?
Oh, you know what? Now
I think her real last name is Potts.
I think you might be.
I don't know.
Or Janine. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It might be Janine Potts. That might be her real name.
I don't know.
Here's what I'll tell you. She's hot. I like her a lot.
Yeah. They, all those roles they take and make some very attractive woman. They're like, we'll put some glasses on her.
Right.
Now she's not. Like,
now she's gross.
Oh.
Now I want to fuck her more.
Yeah. So I mean, that's glasses aren't. That could be, that's sexy too. What are you talking about? Gonna make that and be like, oh, now she's ugly now. Oh, okay. So stupid. What are you talking about?
Now she's a dork. Okay, sure.
Oh, sure. This isn't the fucking 6th grade.
Right.
We're talking about, hard dicks here.
You
We're talking about hard dicks. We're talking about... We both went exactly to that, which is hilarious.
Annie Potts. Nailed it.
Annie. Thank
you.
Bingo.
Yep.
All right, there we go. So Ken leaves the military in 1971. Mm-hmm. Susan decides to return to work, and she ends up being offered a teaching position at Upper Merion. It's in Upper Merion. It's at the school here. So she's a good teacher. She starts in 71 and continues there. The faculty likes her. The students like her. She's into filmmaking, which is cool at the time. This is 1971. She's into filmmaking. So that's cool.
Early. Yeah.
That's really early.
Yeah.
And if a student was interested in like audio visual shit or anything, that she'd be the teacher you go talk to.
Sure.
Go talk to Mrs. Reiner. She'll straighten you out and help you out. She's an English teacher. It's Upper Merion High School, and she's doing great here. So enter one of her fellow teachers here, all right? William Sidney Bradfield Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy, Bill, as he's going to go by everybody here. Now, Bill's born 1933, so he's about 9 years older than Sue here. His parents are obviously Bradfield Sr., and his mom's name is Nora. His father's a mid-level business executive.
Okay.
And they would go from Colorado to the Philadelphia area.
Wow.
For business. His father moved there, and that's where Bill grows up. In 1955, he graduated from college with a degree in philosophy.
Wow.
Interesting. That ends up, where do you end up doing? Teaching high school, I think, with that.
It's an argumentative motherfucker. That's what that is.
Yes. Philosophy is If you could do that your whole time in college and not go, what the fuck am I doing with my life at some point? You have a lot of patience. Why am I doing this? This isn't going to get me anywhere. Like, this is, you go for philosophy if your family has like, $700 million for you in a trust fund and everything. And you're like, I'm just trying to figure out the world and the butterflies and my own existence and what the point. Yes, then you go for philosophy. But if you're like, come from a middle-class background and you're going to have a mortgage someday, that's not very useful.
Nope.
At that point. Not very useful. So he goes there. He goes to postgraduate schools, a bunch of different ones for some reason. I don't know why he bounced around so much, but he went to Villanova, St. John's, Westchester State College. He ends up with a master's degree in English, though, in 1964, and started working the next year at Upper Merion High School. So he's been there a while. He's already had, by the time he meets Sue, when she pops in here, he's already had 2 failed marriages, Bill, and he has 3 sons out of those 2 failed marriages. Okay. He has told everybody that he is not getting serious with any one woman anymore. No more marriages, none of that shit. I'm not cut out for it, apparently.
I
failed twice. Imagine it, philosophically. Let's talk about, yes, I was banging that chick in the motel room, but philosophically, let's talk about why, maybe. You know what I mean? Let's talk about what in the universe brought me to that.
What is sex? What is it?
Should be like, let's talk philosophically about how all of your luggage is in the front yard. How about that? Let me talk about how
and what's not packed is on fire. Get the fuck out.
Have a good one. Peace.
Yeah, what is fire? It's hot. Go find your shit.
It's hot and it's all over your clothes. Get out in the front yard. It's all over all your work clothes. Enjoy. What an asshole. So
it's all over your silk ties, motherfucker.
Gone.
Get out.
Over there by the elm tree in the front yard. So he tells everybody, including the teachers, that like, he's done, man. I'm done with all this shit. Instead, it's weird what he does, though. He just has, not like he has like one night stands or he's like, hey, listen, sweetheart, this is getting a little too serious for me. We've been seeing each other a month and that's a little too much. I'm backing out. He just has several long-term relationships with several different women at the same time. Rather than, it's not long-term relationships he's so much not in favor of. It's just having one with one person that seems to be the drag for him. So he just carries on several without their knowledge. You know what I mean? Okay. Just does it that way. Much easier that way.
I feel like he may have been the problem in those marriages.
No. You don't. No. Jimmy. Judgmental, no?
Yeah, it feels very Jerry Whisman is what he feels.
Yeah. Not Nelly. No, he's looking to marry. He'd have married all of them. That's the difference. He'd have married every one of those women. That's the hell.
Unbelievable.
I want that reality show, Jimmy. I want it so bad. We need to make it happen.
It would be so fun.
All of them in a big house. I want it more than anything. It's the best. So that's what they're doing. He's having all these long-term relationships.
Yeah.
A former coworker of his, this is fucking funny, talked about how she taught alongside him before, quote, growing close to him. Uh-huh. She said she'd been charmed by Bradfield into having an affair, even though she was married and all this type of shit. That's the other thing, too. He likes having affairs with married women because they're not going to want to marry him. They're already fucking married.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. It's like he could walk away from that and there's not a goddamn word they're going to say about it.
Right.
So they're even more arm's length away from him. She said, quote, he was one of the brightest people I ever met. I now think there's something perverse about him in terms of wanting to attract women who are vulnerable and innocent. He was involved with 3 or 4 other women at the same time he was seeing me, but he presented them as inconsequential. Uh-huh. Like, no, I'm banging those chicks, but don't worry about them. We're at dinner now. We're at the Outback now. Let's make the most of it, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wow. Apparently he's a very smart guy, and that's the problem. He's smart, and he thinks he's even smarter than he is because he thinks he can puppet master everybody and just keep them on strings here.
He's doing it. So whether he thinks it or not, he's validating himself by actually doing it.
Absolutely. I say he's charming. He's got a very good conversational. He's a good bullshitter. He's all that stuff.
That's what he is. He's full of shit.
He's a philosophy major. If we were at a college back then, he'd be sitting under a tree playing a fucking acoustic guitar is what he'd be doing, talking about, this is a song about Nietzsche, and you'd be like, I am going to fucking murder you. Where's John Belushi when we need him?
I'm going to beat you to death with that guitar.
Yes, exactly.
That's what he did, right? He just broke the guitar in the hallway.
He bashed it against the wall, but I want a mix between him and Honky Tonk Man, Jeff Jarrett, guitar smashing wrestlers at the same time.
Bashing heads in the courtyard.
Work him over.
Yeah.
He was described as having a hypnotic effect on women.
Wow.
And he was a teacher at a school. And
is he a hot guy?
Not really, I don't think. And they described him as a, quote, Svengali type. So, it seems to be... none of these cult leaders are ever hot guys. So no, it's charm.
How do they do it?
Because women are forgiving. That's why they'll take.
Yeah, they are.
You make them laugh, they'll fuck you. That's pretty weird. That's true. You know what I mean? Like you can get in personality wise, whereas guys, we're just as easy. It's just like the old Eddie Murphy joke about cater to his ego. That's all it takes for us, and we're like, I'll fuck her. Sure, why not? Like nobody has a basement. We all just pretend we do. So. He's described later on here, one of his friends said, quote, he was an articulate, seemingly scholarly person. Sue appreciated highly educated, cultured, well-spoken people, like her family, I would assume. Mm-hmm. And he was more like that than anyone she ever knew. She believed he had a value system similar to her own, an interest in knowledge, teaching, beauty, all that stuff.
A predator.
Yes, exactly. Full of shit is what it is.
Looking to get what he wants, and that is clearly sex.
Totally here. Now, according to all of Sue's friends here, she became involved with Bill pretty quickly. Within a couple years of her being on starting the job, while she's still married to Ken, the whole deal. He is known as ruggedly handsome. Let's take a listen to how they describe him, okay? Quote, he was a ruggedly handsome, muscular man with intense blue eyes who sported a full mustache and beard. Bradfield was considered one of the most inspiring teachers at the school.
This person's taken by him, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, they didn't say he's not ugly.
Right.
At all. Like, they're into this guy. They're like cock like a fire hose. Like a veiny fire hose, this thing.
Full mustache and beard. Isn't that a beard?
In the early 70s. Yeah, otherwise...
Who has a beard with no mustache?
Amish people who live an hour away, so that's actually an important distinction.
You got to say that. Yeah.
You got to say that. Like, he's not Hezekiah from the farm here. He's fucking...
He's got the mustache, too.
His is a 70s mustace.
Yeah.
He's got pussy juice in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's the difference.
Just the mustache shines.
Dried in it. Yeah. That's the difference, So they said that he taught his subjects with enthusiasm. He was very enthusiastic. Starts out as an English teacher and all of that sort of shit. And then he added Latin classes and shit like that he was teaching. And he would eventually be elected president of the Upper Merion Teachers Union.
Wow.
Charisma. Guy's got charisma.
Bet.
If he grew up like a senator's kid, he might be president,
Right.
That's the type of guy. So he enjoys... Everybody says he's very affectionate physically. He hugs people and all that stuff, which I hate from a teacher. Don't touch it. Stop hugging people.
I don't need the teacher to be a hugger.
Stop hugging those kids. I'm sorry. There's a teacher, a gym teacher, who ended up being fired and possibly brought up on charges when I was a kid, who used to touch kids all the time. He got fired for giving quote birthday spankings. I think we've talked about this before. In gym class, he'd pull you up.
Fantastic.
That was. Very nice. And one for good luck.
Nothing like a summer birthday, huh, James?
Yeah. And this is the fucking 80s. This wasn't the 40s or something. This was the 80s, man. Like when I was little in elementary school when this was going on. So
wow.
It was weird. So he likes all that. He talks about people, too. He'll tell all his friends about all the chicks he's banging and everything like that.
Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. He's real into it, but he also, the thing that he tells his friends, why he's so successful with the women. Why do women all fuck me? Because I give them the impression that sex isn't all I'm interested in. That's why.
Okay, so he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yes, he knows what to do to get laid is what he's doing. Here's another teacher named Sue Myers, another Sue here. She taught English as well. She lived with him, by the way. She is his roommate / concubine sort of girlfriend. She thinks they're together, but they're not, and he bangs other people, and
I give him the idea that sex isn't all I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's how it works. And she said, quote, I never felt he was out for a sexual fix. Well, you're guess what, honey? You couldn't be more wrong.
And the gag is, he is.
He is. The only reason to have sex with 5 women at the same time is for a sexual fix. Otherwise, you just find the one you like the best and hang out with them.
Right.
That would be the
emotional connection.
That's called a relationship. It's a real weird thing that some people have been trying out lately. It's strange. So she said he seemed interested in women as people, in their ideas and their values and their beliefs. Yes, because you have to talk to them about something before you have sex. And the thing that will make you most likely to talk to them to have sex with you is if you talk about them and all the things they might like and all the things that you're interested in. What else are you going to talk about?
You know, football, in sales, they tell you to create a need and then fulfill that need. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
He's doing that, yeah. He also tended to go after women who were considered not very attractive. And I think that's an interesting psychological feature because he likes to be worshipped. Mm-hmm. He likes the women to look at him with goo-goo eyes like, oh, I never thought I'd fuck a handsome guy like this. I never thought a handsome guy like this would want to fuck me. He likes that.
Also, it's very easy to say the things that they want to hear because not a lot of people have said to him before.
Exactly.
And as a philosophy major and an English major, the man knows words that most guys don't.
He got words. He got all them 10-cent words there.
He described my pussy ways I never heard.
I never heard it described like that before. I'm telling you. I mean, usually they just say, wet and stanky, but he said other things that are much, much more complimentary. So, she said, quote, one of his friends said, quote, Bill Bradford could smell insecurity and loneliness the way a pig smells truffles.
Jesus.
There you go. That's the psychology of this man right here.
Who the hell said that?
In a nut, they didn't want to be quoted, but one of his friends said that, by the way. So this is what we're talking about. You the guy. You see the guy. He's handsome. He's predatory. He likes the women to worship him. Plus, the women who think that he's more attractive than them might be more likely to look the other way and not quite call him on fucking other people as well.
Yeah, and they might be incredibly flattered that a man that looks better than them.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. You get a hot chick. She's not taking anything from you because she's got a line of people who want to bang her too. So she's like, "What are you doing, asshole? Fuck you!
Why are you being such a jerk to me? I'll leave."
That's it. So the affair begins here with Susan, Sue, Reinert, and Bill begin an affair. And she liked him pretty quickly there. And it's a very secret affair. Had to be kept secret because A, she's married, and B, he's got like 4 other girlfriends, including his live-in girlfriend who also teaches English right alongside Sue.
And C, we all work together.
Yeah, that's the other problem. All of them. Yeah. They teach, because she teaches English with her.
Right.
The Sues are next to each other.
We're in the same goddamn department.
The same teacher's lounge. Yeah. They're sitting there smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee in the same room.
Remember when you had a glimpse into the teacher's lounge?
Whoa, what are they doing in there?
What the fuck?
Wow, they look really sad in there. What's happening?
Mrs. Fox smokes?
That looks great in there. So that's what they're doing here. Yeah. And, it's also a secret because Bill didn't he said that he thought maybe they'd lose their jobs if the school knew that the 2 teachers were living together out of wedlock, is what he told. That's what he told Sue Myers, who he's living with. So he's like, this has to be a big secret. Don't tell anyone because of school. Then he's banging her going, well, you can't tell anybody because I'm also, it's ridiculous. Now, Bill, he denies a romance, obviously.
With anybody?
With Sue Reinert. Okay. No. He says, quote, I was never in love with Susan Reinert. he says. That's what he said. He said, quote, I never intended to marry her, and I was never her lover. I wanted to be her friend and help her. And they said, so you didn't have an affair with her? And he said, no, she's much too mousy and pitiful of a woman to be attractive to me. Whoa. Which means you fucked her, bro. Yeah. I've never known, we've known a lot of guys, and I've never known a guy when they say, when you go, did you fuck that chick? Are you banging that chick? When they go, no, she's fucking ugly. That means he fucked her. That's period. When the reason he's not fucking her is because she's not hot enough for me. Bullshit.
On period.
Period. Just from knowing, and that's just knowing men. If you know men, if you're a guy sitting out there right now, you're nodding your head going, yep, that's exactly.
if it's straight on her appearance, we know you fucked her. And you just don't want us to know.
She's way too mousy and pitiful for me to fuck. Yeah, okay.
Pitiful. What is pitiful?
She's too pitiful. She's not pitiful. She's
pitiful looking.
She's not ugly either. That's what I mean. She's not an ugly woman. She's a woman with like a master's degree, an intelligent person who has a job and all. Like, there's nothing pitiful about it.
Catch as fuck.
That's what I mean. So he's that's not true when a guy says that, basically. So just from experience with men, having penises,
being a guy,
having penises for over 80 combined years between us. We've talked to a lot of guys who have fucked a lot of girls who they weren't proud of, quote unquote, and that's what they say when they're trying to deny it. So, and we know it happened. That's what they say.
When their bar is so much higher than what they're used to getting.
Yeah, that's exactly. So, Jesus, man. So 1974, Sue and Ken here, Susan Reinert and Ken. I'll call her Susan. Susan Reinert, and I'll call Sue Myers. I'll call Sue. Okay, just so we're not confused and I don't have to use names. So Susan and Ken decide to separate in 1974.
Oh.
They decide to separate for a while, see how it works out. They never end up getting back together. It's a permanent separation. Oh, no. Their divorce is finalized 2 years later in 76, but it's an amicable split. Everybody's Ken's not mad. Ken seems like a real normal guy, by the way, real nice guy. He's not mad at her. They're just saying, it didn't work out. That's tough. Nobody owed
career military man.
Yeah, and they're not fighting over alimony and child support, and they're not doing any of that. It's an amicable split. Their kids go back and forth, visitation, and you go for the weekend with your dad and all that kind of thing. She also stays very close to his family as well.
Oh.
Because, they've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah,
so.
It's amicable, so who cares? It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So she still calls her ex-mother-in-law and talks on the phone with her for a while about whatever, and they're just friends. So she's very well liked, by the way. Everybody likes Susan. That's the way it is. Her staff members, the kids really like her, the students. They often tease her. She's got a squeaky voice, everybody says. Everybody says squeaky voice. I
like that.
And they say it has a tendency to crack when she'd get like flustered or excited. It would like crack.
I love it. Yeah.
So they would make fun of her, and they said that she would laugh along with it. She thought it was funny too.
Fun.
So she was cool. She wasn't like, you guys are assholes, and I'll be in the teacher's lounge doing a fucking line off the desk. None of that shit.
Yeah.
So it became part of what the kids talked about too. Yeah, the squeaky voiced lady, she's cool. Shit like that. So people liked her. She gets along well. Neighbors recall her being, they said she kind of kept to herself. They said she was one described her as a, quote, quiet, passive type person. You know what I mean? We've got a real picture of that asshole of Bill. We got a real picture of her too with
opposites attract.
The glasses, back then, the thick rimmed glasses and the mousy, quote, mousy described by people, and quiet, passive. It gets brought up a lot. Yeah, high voice. They said she likes reading and going to plays and watching movies and stuff. Okay. She's into that. She was also active in Parents Without Partners, which is a group, and was always chauffeuring her kids back and forth from gymnastics to baseball games to this to that. Nightmare.
I feel it.
Oh, yeah. It's a rough one. Her neighbor said she's just a very nice person, just like Sue. One of the Parents Without Partners was, I guess it was for divorced or single parents, and she would become, a big part of the chapter here, and she would train people throughout Pennsylvania and how to moderate group meetings.
Wow.
And she would go to events all over the state to set stuff up and show people what to do.
Very mature.
Yeah, a member of Parents Without Partners described her as, quote, somewhat avant-garde but very reserved. She was very petite. She was a very petite, private person.
Okay.
Somewhat avant-garde. I think she's just into artsy stuff is what they're thinking about.
Eclectic.
If you go to Western Pennsylvania to talk about in the farmlands and you're talking about poetry, they think that's avant-garde. You know what I mean? I feel like that's probably what it is.
And being a single parent.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's that sort of thing. So enter another school person here. He's the principal. Let's find out who's running this whole fucking who's running this swingers club with a fucking cafeteria.
Who's running this nude beach?
Yeah. Who we got here? It's Jay C. Smith. Can't get more of a J. Smith.
Yeah.
Sounds like an alias, for Christ's sake. Doesn't it? Fuck. Yeah. He's born in 1928, so he's a little bit older than the rest of the crew, but he's all involved in this whole shit too. So he had very kind of normal upbringing and everything like that, but he's known as a man of, quote, this is funny, they describe him as, quote, a man of many quirks.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Always wore black suits all the time.
All right.
So, I mean,
Johnny
that's
Cash.
fine. Johnny Cash, Richard Lewis did that. I mean, there's plenty of,
Kenny Powers is a big fan of it.
Yeah, always wearing the black suits.
Got to express your rage.
Yeah, express it. Look at this. Look at how I'm feeling right now. Wonder if his ties were black too, like Reservoir Dog style, or or like an Asian businessman. Like one of the two, I'm not sure. They said that they were often ill-fitting suits. Like he'd come in with like a sport coat that was 2 sizes too big and like pants that were small, and they were like, what the fuck why do you dress like that? And a secretary asked him, and he said, believe it or not, I buy all my suits at the Salvation Army.
I was just going to say that. It sounds to me like a man who doesn't get them fitted. He just buys whatever he finds.
Shit, not even off the rack. He doesn't just go to like fucking Macy's or something or, Men's Warehouse. He goes to the Salvation Army. And they go, behind the canteens, we have suits. He's like, okay, cool.
The surplus army boots over there.
Yeah. Where's your haberdashery? Oh, it's behind.
This is a man who doesn't even know his own size. He just buys something that he likes the color of.
Black. Yeah. Picks it up and goes, it's about a human size, right? And puts it on, and $4 sounds good.
Black, I'll take it.
It's black. Real weird. He's a tall guy. He's described as, quote, a tall man with thinning hair and hooded eyes.
What does that mean?
Not quite as handsome as the other guy who was rugged and the other guy was fucking Grizzly Adams. They described. He's like fucking. This guy's just
this guy with the baggy eyelids.
Abe Vigoda. They're describing now. They just described Abe Vigoda. Younger people, look up Abe Vigoda, and it's a tall man with thinning hair and hooded eyes. You go, oh yeah, it's exactly what
younger people. It was the man with dementia in Good Burger.
There you go. And also the man with dementia. And look who's talking.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm talking. Some of our listeners are going to go, Good Burger. What the fuck is that? Because they're younger than that. So Good Burger's too young of a fucking. I don't even know. They don't have tall men with thinning hair and hooded eyes in movies anymore. There's no references to give you past the year 2000. I'm sorry. Abe Vigoda. Look him up.
And Abe Vigoda doesn't even sound like a name. That's literally 2 words, you guys.
Yeah. So it's like if you stub your toe, you go, Abe Vigoda.
Abe Vigoda.
God damn it. That hurts. Abe Vigoda. I swear to Abe Vigoda, man.
I'm gonna beat your ass.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going, look good out there, and you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable, and you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Jimmie's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Come on, be like us, be fashionable, get in there with Quince, indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad.
Right.
There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, which is
it's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up. For energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options.
Nice.
It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
So he was in the Army Reserves. He was a colonel in the Army Reserves, which is high. Colonel's high. Next is general in terms of that. Yeah, it's colonel, then general. And he was wanting to make general always, but never did. Okay. He had a PhD in education from Temple University, which is in Philly there. So he's an interesting guy, too. Students and teachers say he's got a real interesting sense of humor. Everything's joking all the time, which is fine, but sometimes in a school it's not that appropriate because the kids don't get your jokes, and then it just sounds like you're a weirdo. So
and a school is dead serious. We're learning.
It's also they said too he got rid of a lot of rules for the kids and the teachers, and discipline became a problem after he was throughout the course of the 70s, the school kind of got a little bit of fell apart a little bit
around here.
Yeah, no more suspension. You know what? If you kids, you want to fight in this school, you go out front and you do it like men. You put your fists up. I'll referee the thing, but just it's fine. They said he would do the announcements in the beginning of the day over the PA system there, and he would joke and do all these joke monologues kind of. He would do one where he said, here's one that he actually did, quote, "This is your principal speaking." He said, "There's a new regulation for gym clothes. You may wear yellow bottoms and blue tops, or you may wear blue bottoms and yellow tops. I trust that this will please authoritarians in the faculty and not displease the libertarians. But I have one caveat. In the winter, it shall be the duty of each and every student to be encased in warm underwear."
That's a joke?
That's just, that's the way he would talk and say shit. That's his joke. Encased in warm underwear. Don't talk about the kids' underwear, please.
Yeah, never mention those.
Don't bring it up.
Don't even
leave it
tell
alone.
them to wear it. Don't tell them not to wear it. Just leave it alone.
Don't talk about don't go. You got underwear on because that's weird too. Keep it outside the pants when you're talking to children, please. In all discussions, I don't care what's going on in their pants. That's not my business. So now Jay's home life. Let's talk about Jay Smith's home life because it is fucking fun here. Yeah. He's got a wife here, Stefanina is her name.
Really?
Yeah, Stefanina, apparently.
Never heard that one ever.
I don't know that one either. I would just call it Steph, I guess we'll go with here.
Yeah.
So Steph worked in a dry cleaners, and let's describe her. Quote, quote, worked in a dry cleaners and was given to white boots, form-fitting clothes, and teased hair. She had a shapely figure and a wrinkled, hook-nosed face. She called everyone hun and had a folksy manner that contrasted sharply, even humorously, with her husband's sophisticated aura.
What does that mean?
They just described a truck stop waitress, is what they just described.
Not
what can
the
I get you, hun?
Looking gal, yeah, but she'll bang you.
Fun. I mean, shapely and fucking, white boots and fitting clothes and teased hair. 70s.
Yeah.
They
what they described as a 70s butterface.
I guess, yeah. Definitely.
Wrinkly hook nose.
Wrinkly hook-nosed face. They have an oldest daughter named Stephanie here who was grown up and married. She's also a heroin addict, and so is her husband. That's not great. Obviously, Jay and Stefanina are a little upset about this whole deal here. Now, in the mid-1970s, Stefanina gets diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer.
Fuck.
She'll end up dying of cancer later on in August of 1979, which is very interesting timing for our story. Keep that date in mind.
That was fast.
Oh, absolutely. It's the 70s, too, so treatments weren't quite the same as they have now.
Dry cleaning chemical got her or something?
Who the fuck? No, that's what I mean. Back then, those chemicals could have been horrible for you. I'm sure they weren't good. So she began keeping a diary during this time because she's in and out of hospitals and she's kind of bored otherwise. So she keeps a diary. And in it, she'd make note of Jay's strange behavior, which she said really started to get fucking weird during this time. He began to, according to her, participate in group sex and swinging groups, which she wasn't into.
So
wasn't into it.
Okay.
But he's into it.
I'm sure he's very into it.
Yeah, I was going to say. Which, if you want to swing and your wife doesn't, that means you're either getting a divorce, hiding a lot of shit, or, putting that in the back of your mind because you can't really do that. She said she wasn't into it, and she said that this seemed to immediately escalate into more crazy behavior.
As soon as he got cancer?
As soon as she got, he was always weird and into weird shit, but this was now that she's in and out of hospitals and not home every night and all that, now he's really out there swinging. He doesn't.
Now that she's not feeling so hot.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, her hook-nosed ass over here. So in September of 1977, Stephanie and her husband Eddie here, they're the Hunsbergers are their names, Stephanie and Eddie Hunsberger. They had moved to the Philadelphia area. They decided to return home to live with Jay and his wife here, Stephanie. Okay? Yeah. They moved in to their house in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania that fall in 1977. And this is right in the middle of cancer and all this type of thing. So obviously tensions are high. 2 heroin addicts, 2 junkies are going to move in while mom has cancer. This is great. This is going to go over very well. Edward or Eddie here and Stephanie, the son and son-in-law, they both had, like I said, a pretty crippling heroin addiction, and they didn't have steady jobs because it's hard when you're a junkie to have a steady job. Stephanie is known by law enforcement in Philly to be in the sex work trade.
Oh, boy.
Here to be working the streets. And Eddie is on active probation for an armed robbery he had carried out 2 years earlier.
Great guy.
So obviously they're just a fucking mess, and they're moving back in because they have nowhere else to go.
Right. It's not to help take care of Ma.
No.
It's because, sorry, Ma, we got nowhere else to go.
It's just end of the road. Yeah, absolutely. So 1978, they've lived there a few months, and they suddenly, out of nowhere, just disappeared, Stephanie and Eddie. They cut off contact with everybody they knew, no warning, no nothing. They leave all of their belongings behind, all of their stuff, including clothing, luggage, toothbrushes, toiletries, everything, and poof, into thin air. They're gone one night.
Well, sometimes you can't tell people when you're going to rehab because they may,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had our own intervention. We're going to go get clean.
We'll find out. Let's find out where they are. So more into Jay's escalating weird shit here, okay? Some of the deals, the stuff with his marriage is all his sexual shit. That's the problem. He would subscribe to swinger magazines, both straight and gay swinger magazines, too. Okay. So his wife is like, what's going on here?
Right.
Who aren't you fucking? Never mind who are you. Right. Who's excluded from this large circle here?
Yeah.
A lot of rumors about him banging all sorts of people, but he would only admit to his wife to one extramarital affair, even though there was plenty here. And that was with the married female principal of an elementary school, whom in letters to her that his wife found, he addressed her as, quote, love woman. Which,
hey, love woman.
Oh, God, Jesus Christ.
For a man who's learned, that's a pretty whack-ass nickname.
Love woman. That is very 70s.
Temptress, you know what I mean?
You're love woman, and I'm fucking, it's ridiculous. So she leaves, his wife leaves him for a little while, but then comes back here. She's got cancer. She comes back. It's easier. So Smith also has, at least that we know of, at the very least, an interest in bestiality. So there's that also. He had many pornographic books on the subject of bestiality. Books and magazines of people fucking animals.
Oh, my God.
And he said at one point, someone on the Upper Merion staff complained about him and the way the school was being run, and he said, quote, you don't need this job anyway. You live on a farm, don't you? You should raise dogs. Men can never sexually satisfy a woman. If animals can help the blind, they can be surrogate sex partners.
What the fuck?
He told a subordinate at work that. You get like a... I don't know how fast you get sued. You'd get fired, and the school district would owe this woman $2 million if you said that now. But
ever heard of a seeing eye dog? I'd really like to get a sucking dick dog.
Oh, my God. You should get a licking twat dog. They're real nice.
Oh, my God.
He said that at work.
They can help the blind. They can help us with other things, too.
Like fucking you. What do you need this job for? You don't need money. Just go home and be fucked by dogs all the time. That's what he said. That doesn't require money. Wow.
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
The principal said that.
The principal of the school said that.
Holy
this is the guy
shit. That's the guy in charge of everything. Yeah.
He also hates kids, by the way.
Oh, perfect.
Not a fan.
Of course he does.
Which is a great quality for a teacher.
Because they're not golden retrievers.
Maybe. That's what I mean. That's the only reason why at least he's probably not having sex with them is because he's... doesn't like them. He doesn't want to be around them. So.
He's not attracted to them. He's attracted to everything else.
Yes, anything else that on 2 or 4 legs. So he said that he got mad because sometimes when Susan Reinert was teaching a late class, she would leave Karen and Michael, the kids, her kids, in the principal's office till she got done. Smith did not like this at all, Jay Smith. Pissed off. How dare you have children in a school, number one.
I can't tug to these mags.
It's Jesus Christ. He told his secretary, quote, I don't like teachers bringing their damn kids around school. We're not here to babysit. Which is maybe the most ironic thing that's ever been said by a human being ever. I don't know what you're talking about. What is this, a big building where people bring kids and drop them off and then go do things? This is crazy. Is that what's going on here? Next thing you know, they're going to want us to give them books and stuff and tell them things. This is insane.
You're literally getting checks to hang on to kids all day.
Just keep them there. Wow. Jesus Christ. And apparently these kids are known as well-behaved, like awesome unusually well-behaved, polite mature kids.
Military children kids.
Military children and school teacher children. Right. They're
they
real
get
good.
It. Yeah.
The secretary said, you'd have to like those kids. Like, not them, they're so well behaved. They're not running around tearing shit up, screaming. And he said, quote, I don't like any kids.
Perfect. Thank God you're here.
Wow. What a fucking... What's happening in this whole entire situation here? This is very strange. What a weird career choice anyway. So Susan and Ken, March 76, they get divorced. And August 27th, 1977. Okay. It's a Saturday. There is a Sears store in St. David's, Pennsylvania. Okay. Now, again, younger people, Sears used to be a store. You know how in the rundown mall, there's that on the end, there's that Sears appliance thing that you see in your shitty town? That used to be a whole store with everything. I mean, everything.
You know that place where just only your grandparents go to get their tires rotated?
Yeah, no one. You're like, where are we?
You used to buy jeans there.
Yeah, defunct Walmart. It used to be good. Now, this store used to be a big department store, and the cashier at the Ticketron counter, again.
The what?
Ticketron. Pre-Ticketmaster, Ticketron.
Oh, yeah.
This is where you used to have to go. If you wanted tickets to something, you couldn't just get on your phone and get them, and then they're like, oh, my God, they're digitally delivering it to me. Okay, Apple Wallet, done. No.
you had to stand physically... in a motherfucking line.
Not even go to a store that was just that. You had to walk through the clothing department and the tools and the sporting goods and all that shit to get to one desk in the back right before the bathrooms and the drinking fountain to go, can I have tickets to Jethro Tull? That's what you had to do back then. And they'd physically print them up and hand them to you.
You had to walk past the Craftsman display to say, I'd like 2 tickets to Black Sabbath, please.
Right now. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, yes. Now, that's how it went. Now, a courier would show up at the end of the day to collect the money and drop it at the bank. It's a Brinks situation where a guy walks in, picks it up, the receipts and everything, and does the deposit. You know, small business, you do that yourself.
Right.
I remember my grandfather with his barbershop every day. He'd have the zipper fucking bag, the zip bag with the lock on it. That taking that to the bank or not the bank, to the wall in his fucking bedroom.
To the drywall.
Yeah, not the bank. Are we kidding me? So she said, quote, there was a large deposit slip for a large amount in checks, and there was another for $34,073 in cash.
Okay.
Crushing, Ticketron is. This young woman who, behind the counter, brought the bags as well as the Brinks log book for the courier to sign. The courier signed the name Carl S. Williams, received the bag of checks and money. Okay. 5 minutes later, she's with a customer, and a Brinks courier walks up and said, I'm here for the day's deposits.
It's a real Reno 911 situation.
Oh, damn it. He raped his little sister to death, Jim. So she said, but you were already here.
Yeah.
And he said, no, not at all. And she said that it was started to dawn on her of what happened here. So on another Saturday in a different Sears store, one at the Neshaminy, I'm sure that's not Neshaminy, I'm sure that's not how it's said, mall, near, Ben Salem. Another thing happened. This is December 17th, 1977. A clerk turned a courier's ID card over to the assistant head cashier, and he took the ID card to the office to compare it to a list of couriers. And the name on the card checked out, because that's what they had to do now. It checked out, Albert J. Wharton. She compared the signature on the card to that of Wharton's signature, that he wrote, that he signed to take the thing, and they were completely different.
Oh.
So she went to this guy, the uniformed courier, and said, did you bring our money? We ordered coins and $1 bills to carry us over for a few days.
Yeah.
And he said, we had very heavy demand today, had to put it on another truck. Okay. So they were like, oh, okay, which never happens. Never. If you ask them to bring me coins, they're not going to go, sorry, Brinks is out of coins right now.
We're out of money.
It's not how that works. So she didn't want him to know anything was awry here. So she said, yeah, just a few minutes, she said, and went back to her office. And then she made an address over the public address system in Sears, and it was in a code that she hoped this guy wouldn't understand. She said 800 call for operator 39 is what she said. And this guy, for some reason,
he knew.
He freaked out at that, and he started walking toward her office. And somebody else said, you can't go in there. And he knocked a clerk down and burst into the office and said, I want my card. He screamed it. And the person in there, and then he said, I don't have to take this type of treatment. I'll just go back downstairs and send somebody else up, but I want my card. And he grabbed the card out of somebody's hand and took off down the store escalator and fled and was gone. Okay, now, February of 1978 here. We'll talk a little bit more about Stephanie and Eddie, Jay's kids, okay? They had went to the home of Eddie's parents, Pete and Dorothy, and it was Eddie's would visit his parents all the time. But several weeks later, they hadn't heard anything from him, so they contacted Smith here, who said, Jay, and Jay said, yeah, no, I saw him recently. It's all good. They're fine. He said, yeah, they said they were going to go out to California because Pennsylvania had a warrant out for Eddie's arrest. So they said they were taken off to California.
Yeah.
So Eddie's mom checked with the cops, and there was no warrant out for Eddie's arrest, which is shocking, frankly, honestly, for everyone's surprise. Yeah. Really? Wow. She later, was talking to Stefanina, this is Eddie's mom, talked to Jay's wife, and said, oh, my God, I hope Jay didn't do them in, that's what Stefanina said.
Yeah.
And Dorothy, the mom, was like, what? What are you talking about? But she figured she's like on painkillers and medication. Yeah. She's got cancer. Maybe she could be delirious.
Yeah.
That's what she literally thought.
You told me that he fucks golden retrievers too, so I don't know. Well, lady. You're out
he'd
of your
love
mind.
to.
Yeah.
We don't know if he does or not, but he definitely thinks it's a good idea to.
Yeah.
So there was Jay ends up leaving the institution here, leaving Upper Merion for a different job, for a district job. Okay,
great.
He goes there. Then he ends up being kind of shit canned from that as well.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about why. It was August 19th, 1978. They're in Pietragallo Township. It's called the Gateway Shopping Center. There's a couple out there, a young couple eating some pizza. They're sitting on a curb when they notice a brown Ford Granada stopping next to a Chevrolet van. A tall guy with hooded eyes got out of the Ford and looked through the window of the van. The young man and young woman were just looking at each other like, what's this guy doing here, So for some reason, they went to a payphone and called the police. That is way too... I get that this is probably a good thing, but that's way too nosy. If you're sitting there and you see a guy looking in a car and you're calling the cops, you have got to mind your own fucking business.
That's early in the crime. If the crime's even going to occur, you've seen nothing that equates to a crime yet.
Well, yeah, once he busts the window or something, then call the cops. But otherwise... Maybe it's his wife's van. She locked the keys inside, and he's looking to make sure the keys are in there before he starts looking for a rock.
Maybe he's interested in buying it, and he just wants to see if it's a 4-speed or an automatic.
That's the other thing. Maybe the van's for sale, and someone told him it'll be in this parking lot. Go look at it. I don't fucking know what the hell's going on.
It's 4-wheel drive? Got to see.
You know why you don't know that?
Why?
'Cause it's not your fucking business. Eat your pizza and shut the fuck up.
Guy asks you what's on that, then shut up.
And shut up. Your answer is pepperoni or nothing. So within a few minutes of this, 2 police officers show up. It's a sergeant and a lieutenant, and they spot the described vehicle there, and they describe the car. They see the car driving, and they said the driver was steering recklessly, so they pulled him over, and they were on the way there. They said, can I see your driver's license? And the guy said it's in the car. So he pulled him over here, and he got pulled over and got out of the car, is what happened in a parking lot. He said it's in the car. Now, at that point, the lieutenant sees a gun.
Oh.
And he says, drop it, seeing the Ruger in his hand. Drop it now. So he then says, oh, my goodness, and drops the gun, the perpetrator here. They said the lieutenant said it was especially scary because he said, quote, I couldn't even fire after the first command. I was carrying a hot load in my gun.
What?
It's got a hot load. Big old hot load.
What does that mean?
Means he's got live rounds and fucking, one in the chamber type of deal. But a hot load is a real weird way to put that. I had a hot load in my gun, and my sergeant was right behind me. That sounds like the start of a very pornographic scene. He said, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Narrated.
It gets so worse. Quote, I was scared I'd blast through him and blow away my partner. I was afraid my hot load would blow my partner away after blasting all over this strange guy. Split him right in two. So the guy they arrested is Jay Smith.
Yeah, but
it is him.
Why is he doing all this weird shit?
Well, that's the thing. They said a variety of items were found in his car, including 4 loaded handguns.
Wow.
And that's including the ones, not including the ones he had on him, on his person. Whoa. A hood mask, a bolt cutter, and a syringe filled with a tranquilizer.
What?
This is a fucking kidnap kit is what he's got. This is insane. But he said, I can explain everything, obviously.
Yeah,
he said, listen, I need the guns to scare some people who've been harassing me.
Okay.
I think one gun will do it. You don't have 4 arms.
6 hands?
How the fuck do you carry 6 guns at once? That's ridiculous. Yeah. And he said, now the syringe, that's not mine, but I got a junkie son-in-law. I bet it's his. I bet he left it in here, that goddamn junkie son-in-law of mine.
Okay.
That's what he said. Many other items of interest were in there, at his home especially. One is 3 pounds of weed they find in his house.
How did he go so wrong?
Dude, this is wild, man.
This man used to be a principal.
Hey, this was while he was working for the school still. He got fired because of this.
Right. Oh,
this is how he gets fired. He got a promotion.
From the district?
He got a promotion. He was higher up than the principal here. So they find that. They find a bunch of illegal pills, drugs and Quaaludes and shit like that.
Yeah.
4 gallons of nitric acid, which they determined had been stolen from the school. Office equipment that had been reported missing from the Upper Merion School District. He stole office equipment from his fucking shit. He also had badges and uniforms like those worn by Brink security guards and stolen Army ID cards. Also, several silencers for the guns.
That's illegal.
All these are illegal. And they said, this is amazing, quote, Smith also hoarded pornography. Hoarded it. No one else is getting. I just picture him like, a big pile, and he's got his arms out just scooping more in, going, no, it's all mine. No one can touch it.
Yeah.
I'm hoarding this with a heavy preference for bestiality.
Okay. I mean, of all the, it's certainly, now it's the thing, now it's escalated on the list of things to be worried about. If it's just pornography, middle of the road, but top of the list when it's
especially
bestiality.
if his wife's got cancer and she's sick and he's probably not having any sex. Right. So, I mean, if he's got to whack it, he's got to whack it. That's fine.
But
that's good.
You got silencers, then bestiality is, I think, the things to be concerned with here.
Fuck that dog or I'll shoot you and no one will hear it. That's what I see happening there. So weird. And I got to tranquilize it so it won't bite you. Hold on.
Right? That's it. Oh, now the tranquilizer's even scarier.
This whole thing is disgusting. I'm not liking it.
He wants to fuck a German Shepherd, and they're a little feisty.
They're real feisty. So as you might imagine, the media goes bonkers with this. He works for the school district, and he's Upper Merion principal, and he's found with all his bestiality and silencers and stolen IDs. It's a real party for the press here. It's around this time, 1978, in October, that Susan Reinert, her mother dies here. It was 2 months after this happened, after he's arrested. Susan's mother dies. Her mother dies October 27th, 78. She leaves Susan some inheritance, though.
Oh.
She leaves her $30,000 in cash, which is not bad for 1978. A wedding ring worth $15,000. God damn.
That's a big fucking ring.
Fuck, that is $15,000 in 1978.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a rock.
It's got to be encrusted, right?
Wow. I mean, it's a huge rock.
That's like Paul Wall's mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, crystal clear rock. And some property valued at $200,000 at the time.
I mean, I hate to. If you're going to lose your mom, pretty solid payday on it.
Almost $250,000 deal here. They said the mother
took care of her.
Yeah, so now she's divorced. Susan is, so now she's got a little financial security here, which is helping her a little bit. It's about this same time, back to Bill Bradford Jr. here. Yeah. Bill awoke suddenly from the night, from a vivid, terrifying dream.
Yeah.
Okay? Full color. Just, pow, popping.
Rock hard cock about it.
It's always rock hard, but he said that he had a dream about an event that seemed trivial at the time it occurred. But no, he said, quote, he ran into Jay Smith in Ocean City, Maryland. Okay? He said, yeah, he did.
In the dream?
In the dream. Well, no, he said he had ran into... It's a long time. He said he had a dream, but also he said that he had run into Jay Smith in Ocean City, Maryland, not in the dream in real life. And that, he said, was the same Saturday that they said he robbed the first Sears store.
Oh.
So he's going to be his alibi. But Bradfield here, Bill, tells his friend Vince Velitis, who lives in the same apartment complex as him and also teaches, that he knew something ominous about Smith.
Oh.
Okay? He said that the dream will make sense in a minute when I explain how this wraps around. He told Vince, so Bill tells Vince he's a hitman for the mafia.
Oh.
He does have 4 guns and silencers and hoods and ID cards and shit. So, honestly, that's fuck. If you said someone's a hitman for the mafia and I went, yeah, bullshit, and then I searched their car and they had all that shit in there, I go, well, he might be. Fuck, I don't know now. I'm not sure. And this is the 70s, too. Right. It sounds, unrealistic now, but in the 70s, it was still kind of unfettered. There was a lot of hitmen for the mafia.
It certainly existed in the public eye, too. It was right up front.
So this Vince guy said he wasn't sure what to make of that. He said he told him, Bill, that is the nuttiest thing I've ever heard. But he said that Bill was convinced. He said, not only that, listen to what my dream said. My dream said that this Jay, not only is he a mafia hitman, he's planning to kill Susan Reinert.
Oh.
He's planning to kill. Vince said, how do you know? And he says that, quote, this is what he told Vince. Bradfield said, he says she knows too much about his trash. Okay. And then the guy said, what trash? By the way, this is from a book called Echoes in the Darkness, which we'll talk about later also, because the guy... not really above board reporting here. So the guy said, what trash? And Bill said, the trash at school. The rumors about the disappearance of his daughter and Annie Huddensberger. Vince, I think he's chopped up some bodies and put them in the trash cans around school. At the school. This guy knows where the bodies are. You bring a body in and you leave with office equipment. That's what you do with work. So Vince said, that's insane. What are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here. So then Bill said, it is? You think it's really that insane? He said, what do you think he was doing with that nitric acid he stole from the school? And how about those homemade silencers the police found? You know Dr. Smith well enough, don't you? You named him the Prince of Darkness. Because that's what the guy had called him, the Prince of Darkness. I think because he wears black suits all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also. So Vince said, he makes things up, Bill. Jay Smith always tries to shock everybody. Yeah. He's just one of those guys that needs to be bigger than he is.
Yeah.
And then Bill says he's been having an affair with her, Vince. He told me all about it.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So that's what he says. He says now Susan's been having an affair with Jay, too, she said.
Also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also. And then Bill says, we can't go to the police, Vince. You have to swear to keep this a secret. Okay. What? I don't know. That he's planning on killing her because I dreamt it? What would I tell the police? So this Vince says, we can't, he says, we've got to go to the police, Vince said. And Bill said, we have no proof.
Right.
Which is totally true. Not one shred of proof. They'd laugh at us. They wouldn't believe us, and then we'd be in grave danger.
Right.
And Vince said, who the fuck is we? You just involved me in this. I don't know shit about shit here. And Bill said, the man's diabolical. He'd come for us. He'd come for us in the night.
Oh.
In the night. He'd come for our parents, or his mafia friends would. He'd be relentless.
Okay.
Wow. He'd be relentless. So then Bill tells Sue Myers, the woman he's living with and, kind of together with, tells her about it as well. Says that, look, Jay Smith, the former principal, wants to kill Susan. I know about this. Sue Myers was jealous because we know this because at one point Sue Myers physically attacked Susan Reiner over the jealousy of "you're fucking my man" type of deal. So there was a attempted cat fight there. So for her, she's like, I don't really care if he kills her or not. That's literally what she was like, whatever. Like, don't really give a shit. So then Bill also warns Sue Myers that she must not go to the police about Jay Smith's terrible, awful, plans. And she was like, I don't fucking care if it happens or not. So why would I go to the police? Nothing's happening. Nothing has happened. And I don't care if it does. So don't have to worry about me. Enter a guy named Chris Pappas, Pappas. Yeah. He's a substitute teacher who was also told by Bill that, Dr. J. Smith has a secret mafia hitman career. He wants to kill Susan, he wants. So
I'm
it's a
only
big
here
mess
for today. Why are you telling me this?
I guess he's there all the time, subbing all around. I'm here like I'll be in 2 districts over tomorrow. I don't know which. So he also tells this Chris Pappas that he's in a moral dilemma. I don't know what to do about this. He said this Jay Smith's a dangerous criminal. He's a dangerous criminal, but I also know that he did not commit the Sears robbery as well because I saw him in Ocean City, Maryland. So I know he didn't do it. He said, what should I do? Should I keep quiet and just let him go to prison for these robberies? That way he won't hurt anybody else? Yeah. Or should I give him the alibi so that, justice comes out on top? What should I do here? So the guy he's talking to, Pappas, said that you have a moral obligation to tell the truth at trial, regardless of what type of person Smith was. That's your moral obligation. So as it comes closer to the trial, Bill keeps telling all of his friends that, he just felt terrible about this whole thing, and he fears the harm that this Jay Smith's going to do to Susan, but also he doesn't want the guy to be, convicted of a crime he didn't commit. So his brain is being torn in so many different directions.
So heavy.
So heavy. Yeah, it's very, very silly here. He never, by the way, said why, because he had told all the teachers, you can't go to the local police because Jay Smith knows all the cops and they'll ignore you. Okay. They'll just ignore you. So he never did say, though, why that since Jay Smith has so many friends on the police force, they would be, falsely charging him with crimes that he didn't do.
Right. Yeah. If he's so connected.
He's innocent. Yeah, he's so connected. So Bill says there's only one thing he can do here. He's going to have to he's going to get called to court. He's not going to perjure himself. He's going to have to be the alibi witness for Jay in court. But in order to do this, he's got to be Susan's protector now. He's got to protect her at all costs, he says. Okay. He said, according to all this, he said, I'm going to do that. He would drive her. He told his friends that he drives her, to her house and back, would follow Jay Smith's car to prevent him from going and hurting anybody. I stalk him. I just follow him to make sure to see where he's going here. And he needed to protect Susan.
Yeah, really Batmaning this up.
Yeah, no shit. So 1978, Susan applies for an exchange teaching position in England on the Fulbright Hayes program.
Awesome.
In December of 78, she also attempts to buy life insurance from the USAA company for $500,000. Yeah. Which is a lot. Naming as her beneficiary, obviously her 2 kids, right? No, William Bradfield Jr. is the beneficiary. Okay. Now, this from that book, they said, quote, the insurance company denied her application on the grounds that such a large policy would overinsure her life.
Yeah.
Listen, sweetheart, you ain't worth $500,000. I don't know who you've been talking to or nothing.
You'd be worth more dead, and that's dangerous.
That's dangerous. It's not good for you. So that policy doesn't go through, but there's other ones here. Susan and Bill then get engaged.
What is going on?
Yes. Now, Susan told all of her friends, or not all of them, but a couple of close friends in March of 79 that Bill finally asked her to marry him after all these years. She said that she had given him her mother's $15,000 wedding ring to have it reset, and also that Bill had gotten her an investment in a, quote, high-yielding certificate that will secure her kids' college educations for the future. So everything is going wonderfully, just wonderfully. So she actually thought the investment was so good, she tried to bring in her brother, Pat, and she said she's going to invest $25,000 in a certificate that offers 12% interest.
That's incredible.
That is either illegal or
too good to be true.
Soon to be illegal.
Yeah.
One of the two, because that doesn't work. And her brother was like, yeah, no, that's
crazy.
That doesn't sound right. So Susan starts making withdrawals here in February, goes to the King of Prussia Continental Bank and says she'd like to withdraw $25,000 from her $30,000 bank account.
Okay.
Now, bankers they say that huge cash withdrawals, they go get the manager to make sure this person's not being scammed or being forced or something like that, because it's just odd that someone would say, give me most of my money in cash right now. It's weird. So this teller tells the bank manager, who comes out, and she said, it's a legitimate investment. This is crazy. And he said, in a legitimate investment, there's no purpose served by handing over cash. You don't need this in cash. You can get a cashier's check.
Right.
Or, whatever other a wire transfer to the correct thing, not a cash. You don't need to have cash. She said, it's my money. I'm not a child. I want cash.
Okay.
He said, why not accept a cashier's check? It's every bit as negotiable as cash.
Right.
You can walk in and cash it, but if you lose it, you can also, it's easier.
Stop payment on it.
Yeah, so she said, no, I want cash. He said, how about a wire transfer? That's quick. It'll be done in a second. He said, this money could be moved from our bank to the credit of the person of his bank. You know what I mean? Of your person and his bank. We could do this very easily. She told him, cash, asshole, basically, in a polite way. She said, this investment, I have to do it. It's going to make me a very high rate of return, and told him 12%, and I want my cash. He then said, quote, I haven't heard of anyone offering more than 9% ever.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. So he said if it was higher than that, then, I don't know. He said, yeah. He said, I'll give you $1,500 cash right now if you want.
Okay.
There's a law permitting banks to refuse cash if they felt the customer is being victimized. That way they can't sue the bank later for letting them do that. And it's a thing too. I know people that work at banks, and that happens all the time. Elderly people, they'll stop these shit a lot because some ne'er-do-well niece or some shit trying to rob them blind. So if it was for higher than that, that's how it goes. So she took the $1,500, then began pulling her money out of the bank in increments of $5,000 until she got to $25,000, because that doesn't raise any flags.
Right.
So that's what she did. Now at this time, Bradfield buys a boat.
Oh,
and Susan changes her will. Okay, yeah. Bradfield tells some friends of his about some $25,000 he'd saved up over the years.
Oh, this motherfucker.
Yep, it was going toward buying a boat, he said. He's been saving this money. He said that he was afraid that that banks might all go under, so he keeps all his money in cash.
Banks are going to go under. I'm going to keep all my money in a boat.
So I kept it all in cash over the years, and now I'm going to put it in this boat, because
I'm a sound investment guy.
Totally.
I buy boats.
Absolutely. So he wanted his friend Chris to rent a safety deposit box for him that would include, that he could get his shit on there and all that. March 3rd, 1979 was the day that Jay Smith, is convicted of attempted theft of the Sears store. We'll talk about the trial for 2 seconds here. And also, this is the day that Susan Reinert purchased $250,000 in life insurance. Mm-hmm. It had a $200,000 accidental death rider, and that clause includes murder, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Yes, its beneficiary, William Bradford Jr. Mm-hmm. Now, on the next day, though, she changed her will because that's how that went. The next day, her children and her brother were no longer beneficiaries at all, because she had William, her brother, and her children were her beneficiaries. Uh-huh. The next day, she went back and got rid of her kids and brother as beneficiaries, and only William was the beneficiary. So, interesting. Now, Bradfield testifies in the trial for Smith. He testified, said that he had an alibi. The jury does not believe him, apparently, though, because they do convict him. They do convict Smith, and well, even though Bill testified. So Smith is freed on bail pending appeals.
Oh.
Which is wild because he was doing like armed robberies. It's not like he was interesting.
The man was armed to the teeth. Let's let him out.
Wow. Then in June, Susan buys 2 more life insurance policies. One for $150,000 and one for $100,000. Together with what she inherited from her mother. Now, if she dead, she's worth $1.1 million.
My God.
In life insurance, property, and cash. So that's pretty interesting.
That's a lot.
Yes. At one point, later on, the cops would say that woman's stupidity was a crime. That's how they say about it, because it's pretty obvious what's going on. But she's in love with the guy.
Yeah.
She's in love with him. She found him charming like everybody else, and, you know, that's how it goes. And who knows how he talked her into that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
He's charming. He might have said, you know, well, we got to get married. If we're going to get married, you know, we got to have everything together and blah, 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 blah.
What about your kids?
It's fucking great. Meanwhile, he shares a bank account with the other Sue, by the way, with Sue Myers. They've shared a bank account since 1974. They're broke. He never has any fucking money, but somehow he saved up $25,000, the exact amount that she got.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So then he says that, listen, I think your life is in danger. Bill tells Susan, I think your life is in danger. And he doesn't say from who, though. He just says, I think it's in danger. And, you know, she said that trip to England, that might be especially dangerous. Who knows? You know, that's the thing. And, you know, I don't know. It's rough. So maybe you should
away. Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't go. Now, obviously, the kids are over here, too. Like we talked about, they're 11 and 10 at this point.
Yeah.
Karen's a little blonde kid, happy-go-lucky little blonde kid. And you got little Michael here, and he's an athletic kid who plays baseball and likes creative writing.
Okay.
Very fucking nice here. So 1979, Bill, here during this whole thing, the summer of 79, Bill plans to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yep. He said he planned to spend the summer of 79 taking courses at St. John's College in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
He said, though, before he went there, though, he wanted to have a nice, relaxing beach vacation, you know, because New Mexico is hell.
Landlocked.
So before I head over there,
there's not a beach to be found.
No. So, yeah, he said that he needed a vacation because all of this protecting Susan from Jay has been wearing him out.
Yeah.
It's constant. It's like they sound like every time he turns around, Jay's like got a, you know, fucking ninja outfit on trying to get in her window or something. He has to come over and shut it and lock it and be like, Jesus Christ, it never stops. So fucking stupid. He also said that Smith was going to prison for the Sears robberies, and he thought that, he thought that Smith was planning on killing Susan before jail. You know, he had to go to jail, and then he couldn't get to her anymore.
Right.
So he said, this is Bill, he said, if he murders her and I'm around, I could be a suspect because of that silly Will.
Yeah.
So I got to stop him from killing her, or else they'll blame me, maybe. Right. Can't do that. I don't want her to die. That's interesting. So he said he needs to have people around him that weekend. He wants to hang out. So he gets a few people, Pappas and the Vince guy, too, and some other person. They all come along, and they go to the shore. Yeah. Right? They go to the beach. Earlier that day, Wendy, who's another person he knows, went to their safe deposit box and withdrew all the money in it that he had in there. Okay? So June 22nd, 1979. This is where it all comes together here. There's a reason for this. Vince, his friend, Bill's friend, is having dinner with Sue Myers, the live-in sort of girlfriend, at the apartment she shares with Bill. Bill's son, Martin, and Martin's girlfriend are also there, but Bill hadn't shown up yet. After dinner, they went down to Vince's place to watch a movie. It's the same complex. Mm-hmm. As time goes on here, Sue Myers decides that Bill isn't going to show up for their trip to the Cape after all. They're going to Cape May, so she goes back home and goes to bed. Mm-hmm. About 11:15, Bill comes around knocking on Vince's door. He said, "Where's Sue?" And she said she went to fucking bed. So they talk for a little while here, and then Bill turns to Vince and says, let's get some gas for the car, let's get packed, and let's go. Let's go now.
Okay.
It was midnight.
The moon's out.
It's midnight.
Yeah.
So he then drives to Pappas's house to pick him up as well, the substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And so it's Bill, Sue Myers, Vince, and Pappas. Okay. That's where they're going. Pappas takes over driving. On the way to the shore, Bill said he's so worried about Susan. He said, I'm afraid this is it, he said. I'm just afraid. He said, I'm afraid this is the weekend that Dr. Smith could kill Susan Reinert. He said, I tried to protect her. I followed him toward her house. I circled the house 14 times. I lost him in the hailstorm, because there's a hailstorm that night. To lose someone in a hailstorm, I don't know how much or what size of hail would have to be coming down, but it would have to be fucking bowling balls.
Driving reckless through that shit for you.
Holy shit. So Vince said, you don't know that, to him, and Bill said, Vince said, you don't know that he's going to do her any harm. And Bill leaned back and said, quote, it's in God's hands now.
Let's get to the beach.
Some shit that I made up is in God's hands. So about 5 a.m., they get to the Heirloom Apartments in Cape May, New Jersey. They said both the rooms they ordered were locked and one was occupied. So that's not good.
What?
Yeah, that's not good here. So the owner of the Heirloom shows up 2 hours later at 7 a.m., and she was, oh, shit, I'm sorry about that. Put them all in the rooms and all that sort of thing. Put Bill and Myers in one room, the two guys in the other. Okay. So the whole time, this whole weekend, Bill is talking and complaining, and he tells them at one point, quote, I want you to pray for Susan Reinert. You should.
Dude, we're trying to have Mai Tais. Shut the fuck up about Susan.
Later that night, they all went to a theater, and they said Bill was real weird about saving all their ticket stubs, with dates and times on them and stuff. So on Sunday morning, Bill tells Vince that they needed to attend Mass.
Okay.
He said, we've got to pray for Susan.
Yeah.
And he lit a candle on her behalf, and he said, this is to keep evil from her. It's cool.
His live-in girlfriend is there, and he's saying all this shit about another
woman. Yeah, she's going to get killed. You know how that goes.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven, based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Want more? Check out at shopify.com/Wondery. All lowercase, and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity. Shopify.com/Wondery.
February is the month of love, and we all deserve a little something special. Dime Beauty is having their annual Valentine's sale right now, where you can get 25% off everything with code VALENTINE. It's the perfect excuse to refresh your beauty routine or pick out a thoughtful gift. At Dime, clean is more than a standard. It's their promise. Dedicated to skin-conscious ingredients, they focus on creating beauty, skincare, body care, and fragrances that are safe, gentle, and free from harsh chemicals. With Dime, you can trust what you're putting on your skin every single day. If you're looking for the perfect nighttime anti-aging cream, their TBT cream is a must-try. It's packed with clean, age-defying ingredients that nourish and hydrate your skin while you sleep. But don't just take my word for it. Over 3,000 five-star reviews speak for themselves. Whether it's skincare, fragrance, or a little bit of both, Dime has something for everyone. Visit DimeBeautyCO.com and use code VALENTINE for 25% off right now during their Valentine's Day sale. Grab your favorites before it's over. DimeBeautyCO.com.
So before leaving the Heirloom Apartments that Monday, Bill paid their bill with a check that had 4 names on it, his own and that of the friends that were with him, which is very weird.
What?
How that works. How the fuck do you write a check?
This is for all of our rooms.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it had 4 names on. He also asked for a written receipt and told the hotel proprietor that she must include Friday on the receipt as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you have Friday on there, too. Like, I'm collecting paperwork here.
Yeah.
So when they got home, Bill and Sue Myers, first thing he told Sue was that he had to get on the phone to Jay Smith's attorney. After the call, he said, quote, well, Jay Smith was sentenced to jail because this Monday when they came home was the day that Jay Smith is sentenced. Okay. And he said, Susan Reinert is out of harm's way. Phew. Yeah. Phew. Did it. Oh, man.
Literally matrixed bullets.
Totally did it. Yeah, he said it's great. It's all good. So Vince now was preparing for the trip to St. John's College in Santa Fe when Bill came in and said, I just called Dr. Smith's lawyer. They sentenced him to prison. Thank God he's in jail. He said he started weeping.
Oh, he was crying about it.
Vince said he sat into a chair and started weeping, and he slowly said, I saved that woman's life.
I'm a hero.
Yeah. Then they went to Pappas's house, and he did the whole thing over again. Cried, said he saved her life. Holy shit. So then, now let's talk about it from Vince's point of view quick, because he heard all this shit here. Yeah. He said he remembered during that weekend Bill smashing his fist against the back of a car and saying, this is the weekend that Susan Reinert would die. I followed him around 14 times and all that. And so he said, he didn't take it seriously, obviously. They were supposed to have left for the shore right after dinner on Friday at 7 o'clock and return on Monday, but they said he didn't come by till after 11 and, an hour and a half after the other people got there. And this is, by the way, an hour and a half after the last time Susan was seen.
Oh.
And we'll talk about that. So Vince said, have you been with Smith? And Bill seemed withdrawn, and they said, well, what are you talking about? And they said, come on. It was a weird thing because they were asking him if he had been that night. Were you with Jay Smith? And he was like, well, I don't know. What are you talking about? So then he was in a real hurry to go, though, after everything. So they said that they went to the weekend. He said it was very nice. He said at one point, Bill told him, Vince, I think you're the best friend I've ever had.
Okay.
He said, but after a while, he was running around collecting receipts, and he said, we're going to need everyone to prove that we were in New Jersey if Susan Reinert is killed this weekend.
What the fuck is happening, dude?
Yeah, he talks about being, fucking going to church and all this. He said, Bill said he wanted to go back to church, and he said, quote, Vince, a storm is coming. My life will never be the same again.
Okay.
He said, thinking back on it, Vince said, yeah, it was really weird. He said, as they drove back from the shore, Bill had unexpectedly turned into an apartment complex and stopped the car out of nowhere. He said he just walked over to a large green, dumpster and lifted up a layer of trash from the dumpster and buried a brown envelope in there. We all do that. All of us touch garbage when we throw it in a dumpster first, right?
On a road trip?
They said as soon as they got home, Bill ran upstairs to his apartment saying he had to call Smith's lawyer. A few minutes later, he came in and hugged Vince and said, I did it. I did it. He said, thank God it's over. Smith's in jail. I saved that fucking woman's life, he said. Wow. Now, Sue, June 22nd, 1979, that Friday, we'll go a little Kurosawa here and give you the fragmented pieces of this Friday. A neighbor saw Susan Reinert and her kids hurry to her car about 15 minutes after this neighbor heard the phone ring in her home, in Susan's home. How fucking closely are you paying attention to this lady when you hear her phone ring and then watch her and her kids leave? That's crazy.
And then look at the clock.
Yeah, it's real weird. Throughout the day, Michael, her son, had been with Ken, who worked as a senior personnel officer for Fidelity Bank in another suburb of Philly here. That night, they went to a father-son softball game together.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a great dad.
Yeah.
But Susan had shown up to pick Michael up early, which they had to stop. They had to pull out of the game because the kid had to leave here. So around 8:30 here, Michael would call his dad at home and apologize for having to leave the softball game early. Sorry, Dad. So sometime that evening, Susan calls her former in-laws, the Reinerts, Florence and John, And she's, like I said, they always talk. While talking to them, she said, do you think I have this much gas in the car? Do you think that's enough to drive to Allentown, Pennsylvania and back? It's about an hour or so north.
Yeah.
So this was during the gas crisis, so she didn't want to stop and get gas. It's expensive. She said she had close to a full tank, and they thought she had more than enough to drive to Allentown that weekend, then drop the kids off at their grandparents early the next week, because she had to go to one of her Parents Without Partners conferences in Allentown. She was signed up to do a workshop, and she registered her 2 kids for some events that weekend. They were all set and ready to leave early Saturday morning and return later in the weekend. But they said instead, Friday evening around 9 o'clock, in the middle of a huge hailstorm, you got Susan and her 2 kids are outside in the driveway, and the kids are picking up hailstones and playing with them and shit. Yeah. So they said that was around then. Then they said about an hour and a half later, the neighbors said they heard the ignition from Susan's car, or an orange-red Plymouth Horizon, they said, which had a very distinct sound when you started it. Probably had a loose belt or something.
Yeah.
So then
had some hot cherry bomb exhaust on that bastard.
Yeah. They said a few minutes later they noticed that her car was missing from her driveway, and so they said, okay, well, she probably left her home with her 2 kids, and who knows where she's going. Whatever. But they were like, wow, she's going out in this hailstorm. I hope she's all right.
Right.
Monday, June 25th, the end of that weekend, that's the day that Jay Smith goes to jail and all that sort of shit. Here, a caller calls, who will not identify themselves, calls 911 and said, look, I'm in this hotel parking lot, and it's the Host Inn Motel, and it's about 5:30 a.m., here, and there's a sick woman in the motel parking lot.
Oh.
And then hangs up the phone. Sick woman, and they said in like a weird Spanish type accent, they said. So they said that was the call. So the police come here to this motel, which is near Harrisburg. It's I think it's Swatara Township, I think is the exact location of it here. And when they get there, they see the car that the person was calling about. It's an orange-red Plymouth Horizon in the parking lot. The hatchback is open.
Oh.
Okay? When the police walk up to the car, they see Susan's very dead, nude body in the back of her car.
In the back?
In the hatchback.
Whoa.
Yeah. Wide open hatchback.
Yeah.
So they called in case the cops showed up and didn't investigate. They had to leave it open for them, So they said that this came, they looked after this call came in. By the way, the police will later accidentally destroy the 911 tape, which would be very good evidence that they don't have now. So it's at this point that evening that she's discovered now Bill and Chris Pappas take a flight to Santa Fe that weekend.
Yeah. Because we got
that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now initially too, the police don't reveal any specific details about her death, and we'll talk about what happened to that. They said that her remains were identified by Ken. Ken had to identify the remains, and I guess better than making her parents do it, for Christ's sake. Yeah. So the thing that they they don't see, though, are the 2 kids.
Yeah, what the fuck? Where are they?
She left with 2 kids, and now she's here, and they don't know where the 2 kids are. So they're like, okay. So the police spend the next several hours just trying to find the kids. They said, hopefully they got left, because they don't know. Maybe Susan dropped them off with a babysitter or a friend, or she knows a million people. So who the fuck knows here?
Office. We don't know.
They could be sitting in there playing fucking Connect 4. We have no idea. But they checked in with all of her usual babysitters, friends, family members. None of them had seen the children that weekend at all. Oh my God. And they don't know where the hell the kids are. So they don't know. State Trooper John Holtz from the Harrisburg Barracks will later say, quote, "We're hoping that the children will be at a friend's house. We doubt it very much, but we're hoping for it."
Oh, God.
Jesus, that's quite the quote to put in the fucking public.
Pretty sure they're splattered somewhere, but we're hoping for a babysitter.
Good God.
What the fuck, sir?
They were unsure, the cops, as to why the vehicle had been driven here. It's 100 miles away from her home. Her and her kids had been planning on staying in Allentown, which is 90 miles the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That's where she had a hotel reservation earlier and all that. Investigators checked with the motel staff and discovered that neither Sue nor her children had stayed at this motel that they found her out that weekend, and nobody from the area recognized anybody. Okay. So, Susan or the kids. The clerk at the Host Inn first noticed the car in the parking lot a few hours before the police came, but were unsure. They didn't know when it pulled up.
Yeah,
so investigators said that her body may have been sitting in the parking lot for the better part of the previous day, with the killer likely disposing of it on Sunday, of the car and the body. A trooper later said, a cop said, quote, "No one we talked to can yet give us a reason why Susan was in Harrisburg. They have no fucking idea." So the autopsy's performed here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, first of all, it's brutal, number one. Absolutely fucking brutal. But let's get to some physical evidence first. They found half a dozen small red fibers that were invisible to the naked eye found in her hair.
Oh.
Carpetish fibers, okay? A couple of blue fibers were found, and a white substance around her mouth and in her hair was a material that probably came from adhesive tape.
Oh.
First, they thought she had dried semen on her, and then they found out it was tape.
Yeah.
The coroner, though, really, really fucked something up good here.
Oh, no.
We'll talk about why the coroner fucked something up good, but the coroner is the autopsy is performed by the Dauphin County coroner, Dr. William Bush, who is not a forensic pathologist but an internist, which makes a big difference in this type of thing here. So her body it's bad. He describes the cause of death as asphyxiation here. Let's talk about it. She's been beaten severely, brutally, all over her body. Massive bruises and scratches all over her body.
What the fuck?
All over, including what they call a deep black eye. They said that she was stripped naked at some point and bound with chains at some point. At some point, she had chains on her naked ankles, wrists, and other things, too. They said that she may have been dragged a small distance with that chain as well.
With the chain.
With like a fucking tree.
Yeah.
They said she was definitely not immediately killed. The medical estimates place her death 24 to 36 hours after the initial beating.
Oh, fuck, man.
Tortured for a day and a half is what that is. And who knows what happened during that time, too, because we still can't find her kids at this point. And, they said who knows what kind of shit she went through over this. They think she was sexually assaulted as well.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrifying. So this doctor determines cause of death to be strangulation or suffocation, either way, asphyxia. And they said that she was either she was bound beforehand, likely with a chain. They said they didn't know about sexual assault, but they said that cuts and bruises all over her body indicated she'd been beaten before killed and then placed in the wheel well of her own vehicle.
Yikes.
Back there, over there. They said while strangulation was deemed the most likely cause of death, he could not rule out suffocation due to finding that the tape had been placed over her mouth before death. Doctor theorized this might have been played a part in her murder, like depriving her of necessary oxygen, and it would, eventually cause death here. They said that Susan had been deceased for approximately 24 hours when her body was found in the Host Inn parking lot. So sometime between Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, this happened. They said this was at least 27 hours after she'd driven away from her home with her 2 children. So, thing is, months later, Susan's cremated here, but they take tissue samples from her and stuff, physical evidence shit. Months later, they test her blood and tissue samples and find out, no, it's not strangulation as the cause of death. It's actually a massive lethal dose of morphine was given to her before death.
Fuck.
The doctor missed they found the pictures later at the time the doctor missed the injection site completely.
Where was it?
I don't know. Didn't notice it here.
Didn't see it.
They said there was enough morphine in her body to kill her 10 times over.
Wow.
Obviously an intentional overdose, and Susan didn't do drugs or anything like that. So, yeah. They said, though, her 2 children, they said they can't find her. They also can find no trace of several of Susan's belongings, including her clothes, her purse, her glasses, which she wore every fucking day.
Yeah.
Inside the car, they could only find random things, most of which weren't relevant. They found an umbrella, a matchbook cover from a motel in Gettysburg where she stayed the year before for a conference, fast food wrappers, an empty Coke bottle, part of a blanket, a towel, and a blue comb, which bore the name 79th Army Reserve Command, Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Huh.
Who do we know that's an Army reservist?
Reservist?
Who is a colonel in the Army Reserves?
Bill? Oh, Jay.
Jay is a colonel in the Army Reserve. So they said, though, the most intriguing thing they found also, a big rubber dildo was found underneath the front seat, like in the springs. They said they did not believe that this dildo belonged to Sue because their fingerprints weren't on it at all. Oh. And they think it was probably placed there by the killer to confuse in some way, shape, or form. Like, I'll throw a dildo in there. They'll never figure this out. So they don't really they have fibers, a partial fingerprint, and that's it. And a dildo with
and a comb.
And a comb.
Yeah.
So they later find out that comb is given out as a recruiting tool. So there's thousands of them out there too. Yeah. So the reaction here, one of the neighbors said, quote, "She was the last one you'd think this would happen to. She was so cautious. She was so careful about who she's with. She's been with Bill for years now." She said that's the way it was. Another neighbor said, "I can't imagine the killer was someone she didn't know. Her children were her social life. She didn't go out to bars. She called them a freak scene." The bars, not her kids. Yeah. So
Jay called her kids that.
Jay called her kids that, absolutely. So the morning of the body being found, Jay Smith was arriving to court to be sentenced. He was 20 minutes late to court.
Oh, Jay.
The judge sentences him to, "You, sir, may fuck off 2 to 5 years. Okay. Now, the next day, a friend of Susan's, a woman named Sharon Lee, called Bill up and all the way in New Mexico, found him out there, and said, "Do you know what she was doing in Harrisburg or where she was planning on going that week?" And he said, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, you were supposed to go to England with her this summer. That's what I heard." And Bill said, "No, not at all. Susan was pursuing me and trying to persuade me to go to England, but I told her I wasn't interested."
Okay.
So the friend was like, "Okay." So then she asked, "Do you know where the kids are? Did you talk to her, and did she say where she dropped the kids off?" And he said, quote, "The children? Oh, yes, the children. How old were the children?"
That's not the question. What?
And the word "were" shouldn't be in there either.
No.
That's another problem. That's a real issue, that tense thing. So this Sharon Lee said, "I didn't like that response at all. So, yeah, that's not good." Awful.
And also, if you're the beneficiary of somebody's fucking everything, wouldn't you know?
Yes.
Like, he's the distance that he's putting. Like, she was pursuing
I don't
me.
even know those.
I don't really care that much about her. I was really just a friend.
Couldn't pick those kids out of a lineup there. So Ken Reinert is a big suspect right away.
Yeah.
The ex-husband.
Yeah.
He's an ex-husband. The police sergeants there, they said they observed his reaction carefully. Yeah. They said he appeared normally distraught, like you'd expect. And later, when he was answering questions, he was answering their questions, and he was saying, "Who's taking care of the kids?"
Yeah,
that's Ken brought up the kids. Yeah. The officer said, "What kids? What the fuck are you talking about? They didn't even know there was kids involved." And he said, "They're my fucking kids. Where are they? Where are they? That's important here." So the father and the officers then everyone's trying to find out where the fuck they are. So there's a big memorial here, by the way, for her. Big giant memorial. All the kids come from the school, and it's a big deal here. So during this, there's conversations and everything. Vince, the other teacher, he goes to church after this because he has to confide in someone.
Yeah.
He said that he was driving and it was a heavy thunderstorm and he had to get there. And he told the priest, "Something very terrible has happened, Father. I must talk to you." And he said it concerns the Susan Reinert murder. And the priest was like, "Okay, I love gossip. Come on in.
Let's hear it.
Let's go." So he gets in there and he starts telling him all about Bill. And he says he was my closest friend and he tried for months to keep Dr. Smith from killing Susan. But the effort, he couldn't do it. And Bill warned me I can't go to the police because he said Smith's a madman and he's killed so many people. And he said Smith has mafia ties and he'd have my parents killed. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Please, Father. So the father has to be like, "What are you, out of your fucking mind?" So he says he told him, "You've done nothing wrong, son. It's probably best not to go to the police because everything you know is hearsay.
Right.
Try instead to get Bill Bradfield to go to the police." That's what he said. Okay, now, As soon as he got home, Vince calls New Mexico to talk to Bill. And he said, I've talked to a priest, Bill. He said, the priest told me it's important for you to go directly to the police and tell them everything you know about Jay Smith.
Right.
And Bill then, after a long pause, says, maybe it wasn't Smith.
What? So
he said, what are you talking about? Then he says, quote, there's someone else who might have done it, a black man named Alex that Susan dated. He said, listen, Vince, I think these lines are being tapped. Thanks for your call. I'll be talking to the police as soon as they submit their questions.
What a call.
Yeah, this is crazy. So Vince is now reading all this shit in the paper, and he's freaking out here. So he talks to the FBI.
Yeah.
He talks to the FBI and tells them everything he knows, which really isn't much. It's really just a bunch of...
It's a guy that went on a car ride.
But it's somewhat, okay, now they know, okay, Susan was fucking Bill, and then this one was here, and then we're worried about Jay, and at least there's something to go on here. But yeah, he says that, you know, he's talking to them. They talk to him out on a porch. He calls them over. He doesn't want to talk to the state police, though, because he said that Bill said that the state police is all corrupt and they're going to, you know, they're friends with Jay and it's all scary and, you know, all this type of shit here. It's very fucking wild. But he said that, quote, Bill Bradford told me Dr. Smith was a hitman for the mafia and that he was threatening people, including Susan, and Susan knew too much about him in the trash that Dr. Smith was chopping up dead bodies and putting parts of them into trash cans around the high school. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So he's like, this is crazy. So he goes all there, and he said, I asked him, and they said, Vince, did you ever ask Bill about any personal relationship he might have with Susan Reinert? And he said, yeah, I asked him. Well, no, I didn't exactly ask him, but at one point, Bill said Susan Myers thought he was having an affair with Susan Reinert. And he said that was so ridiculous because he'd never been involved with her. Okay. Yeah, you just add people to your life insurance and make them your sole beneficiaries on spec.
Just because I care so much for you.
Fucking ridiculous. Yeah. Vince said around April 1979, Bill and I went to see a film, The Deer Hunter.
Really?
Movie. And that night, Bill told me that he was upset because Sue Reinert wanted to make him beneficiary of her will and guardian of her children. He also said he had a copy of it. He was very distressed and annoyed that she was doing this. How dare she? So, the investigation now, they figure out that Susan had been scheduled to present at a workshop at the Parents Without Partners conference in Allentown, but had been a no-show for the event, causing concern because she'd been a big part of it. She also made arrangements for Karen and Michael to attend children's programs at the conference, but they did not show up either. Additionally, they had not the cops, they had not checked the motel Sue had reserved weeks prior, which was not the Host Inn in Harrisburg where she was found, but was actually the George Washington Motor Lodge near Allentown is where she was supposed to be. As investigators learned, though, Sue had attempted to cancel her plans that weekend, spoke to the woman organizing the conference, and attempted to find a replacement to moderate her workshop. She'd spoken to the woman over the phone Wednesday of the week before, telling her that she had an appointment scheduled for Friday evening that might cause her to be delayed. So the investigators also learned she called the motel that she had a reservation for, telling them she had to cancel. So she said that the call had come, it was a sudden thing, basically. Yeah. So they began reaching out to people who knew Sue, the cops do, Susan, her close friends, family members, coworkers, babysitters. None of them had thought anything out of the ordinary happened the week before. Yeah. Susan wasn't acting funny. Nothing. They said everybody's got an alibi that might want to hurt her, including Bill Bradfield. He's been at the beach with several other people. Police go to her home, Susan's home in Ardmore. They discover it appears to be untouched. Doors are locked. Nothing seems out of place. Doesn't appear like anything's been broken or stolen. The kids' bedrooms, they even found clothes laid out on the bed in neat piles right next to the suitcases.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Sue had been packing their belongings that weekend, and that's how this happened here. So they visited Ken, the ex-husband, obviously, and Ken said he'd seen both the kids and Sue Friday, having participated in a father-son softball game with Michael. The investigators quickly eliminate Ken as a suspect. He has no financial or personal motive to harm either Sue or the children.
Kids,
none.
Right.
Everything's fine. He's happy. Everybody's happy. He had a good relationship with everybody. no worries. He also remarried the last couple of years, and his new wife had just given birth to another son 6 months ago. He's been home with the baby, and, it's fine. Susan's other family members and friends, including her older brother Patrick, they were all questioned by the police. They didn't have any helpful information. Over the next several weeks, this drags on now.
Oh, my God.
Investigators look at everything. They check everybody out. At one point, they told the newspaper, quote, there are many things we're checking into and trying to tie together. There's nothing right now that we can put our finger on, but we're very optimistic about it. I hope we can find the children alive. I don't know in what condition we'll find them in. I even hate to think about what could be. We already know what happened to the mother. She's dead.
It's been weeks.
It's been
so
weeks.
long.
It's not great here. So a lawyer in Philly here, by the way, on behalf of Ken and her brother, would file a thing in court to hold up the processing of any will that might have been left behind to make sure that this doesn't go to somebody else. So then it comes to light that Bill is the beneficiary, and she described him in her legal filings as, quote, future husband. So now they're like, all right, let's go to Bill. Bill says, I got an alibi. I got Vincent Valetius. I got Susan Myers. They're both English teachers.
Receipts.
Look at all I got. Look at this. You want to see the movie we went to? Here it is. Deer Hunter. Pow. They said Susan also lived with Bradfield. Sue Myers. They had obviously had attempted to keep it a secret, but not quite. They said they talked to Susan Myers because they're like, we heard that you two didn't get along. Yeah. We heard that you attacked her physically a couple of years ago in the teacher's lounge, by the way.
Oh, my God.
If only the door was cracked on that one. Oh. The two teachers are going at it? Holy shit.
Throwing freeze-dried coffee at each other.
Dude,
I want to see it.
How much would you pay in high school to see two English teachers go at it?
To know which one hates the others? Because they don't tell you anything. Why? Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness, man. So they talked to Bill. They talked to everybody. Jay Smith, by the way, like we said, he surrendered to authorities that day when the day they found Susan. Yeah. He's sentenced to 2 to 5 years in jail, which he'll receive. He's actually going to be out on bail till it all goes through or whatever. Yeah. He's got time to do some shit, a couple of weeks or something. They said though that people were speculating, obviously, that Bill must have done this. He's the one who benefits from this. Had to be him. Okay. Didn't make sense, though, they said, though. The investigators said that his personal – they talked about Jay a lot, talking about him, and they said the blue comb found in Sue's car bore the insignia of the 79th Army Reserve Command, the same one that Smith had served as a colonel in. That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Once they caught on to this, that Smith's already in prison – so he's easy to interview. Just go to prison and find him. By August of 79 here, by the way, Stefanina dies right after he goes to prison there. They said that, which I am suspicious about, by the way. Yeah. I'd like to know if she was dead before he went to prison, because otherwise he does a lot of shit and injections, and if she's almost dead from cancer anyway, who's to say he wasn't like, let me put her down before I go.
Right. Or if he was like taking care of her and then just abandoned her in that house and she needed her medication, pills were. She just died.
We don't know. We have no fucking idea. So more than a dozen FBI agents are going to contribute to all this. Oh, they had a joint task force with Pennsylvania state troopers and other local officials, all sorts of probing the relationships between this one and that one, and the media is going crazy. The media is talking about, is it a cult? They think it's an occult thing. Yeah. Is it this? Is it that? Like, they're running fucking wild with it because no one's been arrested. So they can just say, who knows? It could be anything. They said in the Philadelphia Bulletin in August, there was a report that Susan had fallen prey to devil worshippers whom she may have been familiar with. Quote, it says, quote, intellectual professionals, not necessarily the types of individuals you would think of as fanatical sex perverts. They did not balk at using animals for sex exhibitions and encounters. Because Jay had the magazines here. Yeah. September 79, members of the task force combed through the apartment that Bill lives in, Bill and Susan Myers there. Right. This includes the woods behind the complex, where they do that because an anonymous caller told the police that the bodies of Susan's 2 children had been buried behind the apartment complex. So, according to the the media here, the caller had described the kids as being buried in a shallow grave between the apartment complex and a landmark a mile into the woods. Somewhere in there.
Here and a mile that way.
And a mile into the woods. So finally, though, after an exhaustive search, they couldn't find anything. Yeah. So a grand jury gets convened.
Oh, God,
to evaluate whether or not to proceed with the case that they're building. Subpoenas are sent out and all this type of shit. It's interesting here. So the will, again, they're fighting over the will, obviously.
Yeah.
They're saying that in court that Bill has been deceiving Susan over an extended period of time. So they're talking about a financial motive. They said he scammed her and all this type of shit. They said when they looked through all her shit, they ended up finding, obviously, money missing from her bank account, which had been given to Bill. Yeah. And then also stock and bond certificates that when they looked at what the fuck they were just homemade shit that Bill made.
They're nothing.
So the missing $25,000. It's pretty wild here. Now, he, on the other hand, Bill, says that they weren't planning on getting married. I didn't even know I was a beneficiary. We weren't even romantically involved. We were just a friend. She was a friend. She's very troubled. I tried to tell her, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, she said that Mrs. Reinert rarely did, this is what he said, Mrs. Reinert rarely did as I suggested she should do. She dated people who I thought she ought not to date, and she went places she should not go. So anyone could have killed her.
What about the fake stocks and bonds, though? That's fucking wire fraud, isn't it, or something?
Well, he testified he never gave her anything, and she never gave him anything, never gave him a dime. He said that he knew very little of Susan's money management, but implied that he didn't know of her having any money. He said, quote, she always seemed to me to have very limited means. Okay. They said, well, then why would she name you the beneficiary of $1 million estate? And he said, beats me. Yeah. Weird, right? That's it.
But I'll take it.
Jesus Christ. So they're trying to get a warrant to search Jay Smith's home, his old home, in May of 1980. So multiple news outlets are beginning to report what investigators found, and they compared fibers on Susan's body to fibers taken from a carpet in Smith's home. Through the tests, investigators discovered that the fibers match, making a link between the two.
Uh-oh.
Now, over the next several months, it's very weird here. Investigators are probing Jay Smith's connections to both Susan Reinert and Bill Bradfield as well here. So they discover the disappearance of Smith's daughter and son-in-law again. Yeah. Remember them?
Yeah.
Stephanie and Eddie, they're gone. So, like, what the fuck's up with that? And they discover that he's been cashing their welfare checks since they disappeared.
You can't do that.
He's been fraudulently doing that. That's not great. And they asked him, well, where's your fucking daughter? And he said, quote, Stephanie is alive. I'm not at liberty to say more than that.
Okay. Wait. Yep. What about Eddie?
Don't worry about him. They didn't ask me about him.
Yeah.
The investigator later on said, quote, you can't get a fix on the guy. This guy has a variety of lives and skins. Almost everybody you talk to has a different picture of him. Yeah. Some people say he's crazy and mean. Some people say he's like an erudite, sophisticated guy. Some people say he's like this. It's fucking weird as shit. But they all say
he's got baggy eyes.
Hooded eyes. February 20th, 81, cops show up at Bill's home in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. They arrest him on 2 counts of theft and a single count of conspiracy, alleging on their warrant that Bradfield kept the $25,000 given to him, which she only had given him under the pretext of him investing money, and he never did. So, a former student of Bradfield's named Wendy Ziegler, that is the one who also had access to the safe deposit box, had also been charged as a co-conspirator. She's 20 years old at the time and attending university in California. And she says that they were romantically together after her high school graduation.
Oh, Jesus.
Even the kids aren't off limits to this guy.
How does he do it?
Wow. So the next Monday, February 23rd, 81, Bill is freed on bail, which had been set to $25,000, by the way.
Really?
They will be him and
boat?
like a boat's worth of bail. So the civil suit filed by Susan's brother and Ken came to a resolution. It was announced that $36,000 would be allocated from Susan's unresolved estates to pay further investigations into the whereabouts of the children. just to investigate. The funds would also be used to contest the rest of Susan's will to prevent Bill from collecting any money.
Whose choice was that?
What?
To spend that money?
Him.
Oh, Bill's choice.
Oh, no, this is to spend the money on investigation of the children.
Yeah.
That was the ex-husband and her brother were fighting to get those funds released to be able to look for the kids. So he is convicted of stealing $25,000.
Yeah, he definitely did that. Yeah.
He's allowed to go home, though, while he's awaiting sentencing, obviously, here. They do want his bail to be raised and all this type of shit. They think he might leave the country and, all that kind of thing. His maximum sentence, though, is 7 years in prison and a $15,000 fine. Okay. 1982, January, they bring in another grand jury about the witness here, about the murder here, okay? Jay Smith, by the way, is serving his time in prison, so they can just question him whenever they want. Yeah. They can call him, subpoena him, and they just bring him right over. So in addition to questioning him about the involvement in the Reinert case, they're eager to chat with him about where is your fucking daughter and son-in-law, obviously here. So he said that they were just disappeared. Who the hell knows? But they have no clue. Now, the cops have a theory that they think Jay Smith might have been the trigger man for Bill. Yeah. Because she was alive for most of the weekend, and he was definitely with other people. He couldn't have physically done it himself.
He couldn't have killed her. He could have gotten
Bill
her somewhere.
Couldn't, exactly. Bill couldn't have physically killed her himself, though. He couldn't have had her for a day and a half. So each time he appeared in court, they would they would ask him all these questions. Sometimes he'd cooperate. Sometimes he wouldn't. Throughout 1982 now, 3 years later, things are quiet. December of 82, they get a tip telling them that the bodies of Karen and Michael, the kids, are in the trunk of a Lincoln Continental, which has been driven into a deep quarry in Chester County, Pennsylvania.
What is this? Jimmy Hoffa, for Christ's sake. Are they under the fucking giant stadium?
Are these, I don't know if this is whoever did it doing this or if this is just assholes trying to have fun. But they searched the quarry and revealed several submerged vehicles, including a vehicle matching the description, but none of them had any bodies inside of them. So, the second grand jury is impaneled, like I said, and members of the grand jury were talking about taking this thing to the next level. April 6th, 83, Bill Bradfield is taken into custody by Pennsylvania state troopers. He had been released from prison for his theft, and he's now charged with 3 counts of murder. They charge him with. And conspiracy to commit murder, too, with a person or persons unknown. So there's an unnamed co-conspirator here. Kidnapping, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and obstruction of the administration of the law. Okay, now this is based on a lot of very circumstantial shit here, we'll say. So according to this whole deal here, one of the linchpins that inspired them to pursue the charges was a confession from one of the fellow inmates. A 23-year-old named Proctor Noel had been incarcerated with Bill Bradfield, and he claimed that during a chess match with Bradfield, he said that Bradfield confessed to the murders, claiming he'd been present when Susan and her 2 children were killed. He described a convict with 2 children of his own. Noel is a convict with 2 children of his own, so he said he would come forward, and he said he has no personal, motivation other than to do the right thing and all that kind of shit. So they said that Bradfield indicated to Noel at that time that if he hadn't needed money, nothing would have happened to Susan. Bradfield told Noel the whole plan of the crime was for Susan, and it was only to involve Susan, but that something had gotten wrong. He said that none of the plan was meant for the children. Bradfield indicated to Noel that it was a shame the children had to suffer by mistake, and also told them that when they were killed, he had been present as well. That's not great. So, obviously not. But we don't know where he was in June. He only had 2 hours to do this. Right. From the last time it's a very small window. So, unless he drove away in the middle of the night to meet them out there 4 hours away, and it doesn't make any sense. This guy might just be lying here. So they said that also they found out Bill had been carrying on numerous affairs with other women, including a former student who had become his accomplice and all that kind of shit. It gets to be a lot. So they said there are no witnesses who can verify Bradfield's whereabouts until 11:30 p.m., June 22nd, 79. So they're thinking maybe he met with Susan and the kids because he's trusted and brought them to Jay.
Yep.
That's possible, maybe. So that's a one of the theories here. There's no real physical evidence. So they're looking for a connection between Bradfield and Jay Smith, Jay Smith's activities on the night in question. They question him about it. They say, Jay Smith, where were you here and there? He tells them, perfectly cooperative, nothing checks out that he said. They couldn't prove where he was at all, but he definitely wasn't with the people who he said he was with. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's not good at all. And a letter Smith wrote to his wife the day he was incarcerated, he said that he emphasized that she must clean their car thoroughly and throw out their downstairs rug.
Jay wrote that?
Okay. Jay wrote that to his wife.
To cancer-ridden...
who's going to die in a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, I need you to do some spring cleaning.
Yeah. So Christopher Pappas again here. Yeah. He believed that because Bill was his teacher and his wrestling coach, and he thought he was his good friend, and now he's a teacher too, and he's real excited here. He said he had remained silent, but now he kind of tells everything he knows. He says, quote, oh boy, he says that we were in the attic of Bill's apartment when he told me that the money was in the trunk of the red Cadillac, of which was his father's car, the $25,000. I convinced him that the money should be removed, so Bill and I went down and searched for the money, which was hidden in plain white envelopes and in a briefcase, and also in a gym bag. It took us a good while until we found all the money, which I counted. $5,000 in the gym bag, $10,000 in a briefcase, and the rest in 2 white envelopes. There were 6 packets. It was mostly $100 bills. Some of it still had bank wrappers on it. He told me that the bank would not let him take the money out in cash in one lump sum, so he had to make several small withdrawals of $5,000 at a time. So they're doing all of that. He said that he would only take cash. My guy Bradfield told me, Pappas said, that he'd saved the money throughout the years, and that also he sold some property, took the money out of the bank to buy a boat because he didn't trust banks.
Yeah,
which is pretty fucking interesting. They said on the night of September. That's when they get him too. That's right. So they think they got Vince kind of, on their side here. He said that Bill, they ended up finding something here. They said the FBI goes to visit Pappas, and Pappas said, Bill must have come to my house and dumped out the acid and filled it with water. I had it under my boat waiting for you to come and get it, but it was amber and now it's clear. He told me he was going to dump it the night after the orphan's court hearing was over. He asked me to stand by him. He said, Bradfield also told me that Smith would cut up bodies, pour acid on them, and wrap them in out-of-town newspapers, then tinfoil, and put them in trash cans, the thick kind. He always used cardboard or newspaper on the floor to soak up the victim's blood so no stains would come through, and he said that Smith had 2 guns when he approached a victim, a large one in his right hand and a .22 caliber with a silencer in it in his left. He told me that Smith felt that a .22 caliber was best for assassinations because it made less noise and the bullet traveled slower. Bill explained that he had entered into a teacher-pupil agreement with Smith in order to learn his techniques and gain his confidence.
Okay.
He would often practice techniques that Smith told him about. One time, he put chains on my wrists and told me that you could suspend the victim with the chains to cause pain.
Oh, my God.
That's what he said Jay told him. Bradfield also said Smith was planning to beat and torture Reinert before he killed her. So, it's fucking bad here. Yeah. Then Pappas goes in and comes out with a paper bag. He takes out 2 small locks that matched these locks in photographs they were looking for, a ski mask, 2 boxes of .30 caliber ammunition, and a listening device. And he said, you hook this up to a telephone. He said Bill wanted to use this to record Smith's conversations in case he had to prove at a later date that Smith was a nut. So, yeah, he said it's keeps going on here. He also goes on to say that Bill said that he had a truth drug, and he would take an eyedropper with acid and drop some in the victim's arm, and if the victim would talk, he would wipe it off with a damp rag. He had ways of making people talk.
Yeah.
Holy Jesus Christ. So Susan Myers, she talks about how broke they were as well. Said, yeah, we were broke, and, he didn't have any fucking money. He would have definitely not had $25,000.
Right.
They said he opened up an art store in the mall at one point and lost $85,000 to $100,000 in it. Overnight, yeah, because no one buys art at the mall.
No.
So she said, not good art anyway. No. So he said that the store was lost and all that. It was at this time he began to tell me that Jay Smith was a nut and Susan Reinert was going to die and he couldn't stop it. So all these people. Susan Myers handed over several love letters she found. These love letters were not from Susan Reinert, but from a student there, Wendy Ziegler, saying, "Dearest love.
Yeah.
I love you madly, passionately, eternally, and infinitely. Oh. I miss you so terribly. I sometimes think that if I can't feel your hands running through my hair or have you pull me into your arms and kiss me, I shall scream."
I'm seeing some more.
Say this is 1879. I tell myself I will not be ruled by my passion, but that it's silly to think that I am not strong enough to get through college without you, but I'm lying. I need you to be with me. I don't see how I can survive these days, let alone years. I am meant to be a mother. I am ordered to you as a wife, and so what I feel is proper, and I thank God I feel this way. Wow. Then she said, "Dearest, darling, wonderful, marvelous William." Next letter. "You don't know how your phone call made my whole day. Think how nice it will be when we wake up and the first thing we touch is each other." And she goes on to that. Then she says, "Your wife, Gwendolyn."
Oh.
Yes. So Bill's trial for murder here. He gets a public defender, and they're presenting a lot of circumstantial evidence. Yeah. He testifies too. Bill does testify.
May as well.
Oh yeah, he takes the stand, and they said, "Why didn't you go to the police when you found out Jay Smith was going to kill her?" Uh-huh. And he said that we talked about what we should do, but we didn't know what to believe. And he said we were prisoners in our own fear. That's it. Yeah, that's how it works. She said that he said that. There was a piece of paper. There was apparently a piece of paper that they show Bradfield with various disjointed phrases, including "Lord, killed kids, taped her." And they said, "What's this note we found?" And he said, "A note that I made at Mr. Curran's, my attorney's, concerning various things I had heard from Vince, heard from Chris, or that John Curran had told me he heard. We would go over them, and Curran would say, 'This is a concern. Lord killed kids, taped her,' and the theory was that the authorities were that was what they were working on. So I was just writing down the details of what happened.
I just happened to know because you guys told me."
Yeah, they said, "Did you know who killed her?" And he said, "I absolutely don't. I have no idea. I didn't kill her. I don't know anything." So obviously. So then the cross-examination, they say, "If you're so interested in protecting her, why'd you walk away in the time periods described as the critical ones when this man would kill? Why'd you go away on Christmas, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day?" And he said, "Well, I couldn't park in front of Susan Reinert's house the whole holiday weekend without simply moving in. Duh.
I got things to do. I got a boat, man."
You got a boat? It's pretty fun. You're going to fucking sit outside some broad's house? So during the closing, they say basically life insurance policy, dead body. Yeah. This guy, come on.
He had to have something to do with it.
Cui bono, motherfuckers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He denies that they were even together, and meanwhile he's getting thousands of dollars. Verdict, guilty.
Wow.
An hour and 25 minutes it took them, and the jury said wasn't even that hard.
Yeah.
There was almost no dissent among any of them there at all.
We all got votes, and we want the fuck out of here.
Yeah. The only time they got in an argument was when one jury member likened him to Charles Manson, while another compared him to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they argued about which one he was more like.
No, he's a piece of shit like this. No!
That's all we argued about. Yeah, and by the way, we voted 7-5 that he's more like Charles Manson. Okay. I don't know if that's a legal distinction, but you should know what we were talking about in there. So, yeah, in February 85, he is sentenced to, you, sir, may fuck off, 3 consecutive life sentences.
Wow.
1, 2, 3 for the kids, too.
I'm impressed.
You still haven't found him. Yeah, 3 life sentences. Now, 1987, there's a mini-series involved in here, and it's based on Joseph Wambaugh's book that we talked about, and we'll get into that for 1 second. It's 87, called Echoes in the Darkness. It's a 2-parter, 4-hour movie, starring Stockard Channing as Susan. Yeah. Peter Coyote as William. Robert Loggia as Jay Smith.
What?
Hey, he talks like this, too. Hey, get over here, you son of a bitchin' kid. What are you doing in the hallways? Peter Boyle is one of the cops. And so is Gary Cole, who is the boss in fucking Office Space.
Oh, really?
He's, I'm going to need you to...
really?
Yeah, that's him. So these are the people
Peter,
that are in. And even Treat Williams, who just died, didn't he?
Really?
He's in
Yeah,
it,
he
too.
did.
There you go. Treat Williams is in it, too.
Poor bastard.
That happened in 87. Now, throughout the 80s, Jay Smith is applying for parole on his convictions of, armed robberies and shit like that. But the grand jury keeps popping up, and, Bill Bradfield keeps blaming him.
Yeah.
So Smith is called to meet with investigators, and he is asked to provide samples of his handwriting. Reporters, they theorize that this may have something to do with documents or some shit like that. But on June 25th, 1985, 6 years to the day of when her body was found, Pennsylvania State Police arrest Jay Smith and charge him with 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Uh-oh.
He's already in jail, but they arrest him again. So he said, I had nothing to do with the murders of Susan Reinert and her 2 children. Now, again, jailhouse confessions here. A fellow inmate said that Smith said, quote, I killed that bitch. And then confessed a similar involvement in the crime to a different prisoner who doesn't even know this other prisoner on the other side of the prison. So they said you pair it together with circumstantial evidence and that he had the opportunity to do this. And it seems like, an identical circumstantial case that we presented against Bill. So they put him on trial. More than 90 witnesses are called, 110 pieces of evidence. The trial, by the way, throughout the trial, Joseph Wambaugh was president.
Is that right?
He observed everything, the writer there. He had already made the book, by the way, and was hoping to get a miniseries at this point. And
he wants sequel money.
6 hours of deliberation here over 2 days. They find him guilty as well.
Oh, shit.
And they sentence him to, you, sir, may fuck off, death in the electric chair.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding?
Yeah. No. They said he's the unnamed co-conspirator, and he's a natural fit, and that's that.
There you guys, we don't even have...
We don't have shit.
Don't have anything.
Now, we have a couple of microscopic carpet fibers.
This is amazing.
That's not much. Now, the problem is, Joseph Wambaugh, they found out that, fuck, man. By the way, they call even Joseph Wambaugh in his book describes Smith as being a goat-eyed sociopath, which is a lot. This is fucking crazy. They found out they're going to end up granting him a new trial, Smith, because they found out that he had paid the investigators. Apparently, a January 29th, 1981 letter from Joseph Wambaugh, who wrote Echoes in the Darkness, shows he offered Holtz, who was one of the cops, $50,000 for information before there were any arrests.
Wambaugh? What are you doing?
I need fucking... Yeah, he said, P.S., since I would start the legwork immediately, we should be very careful about being seen together for the sake of your job. As far as witnesses would know, I received all my information from news stories and anonymous tips.
You dick.
That's what he did. That's not good at all, I would say. Also, they find out that they find evidence in one of the cops' houses here. It was just in the fucking...
Home?
Yes, in a sealed evidence bag with fingerprint lifters and marked with FBI lab identification numbers, they found the comb that was in the evidence was not the same comb that was presented at trial.
Oh.
The comb police used to link Smith to the crime was labeled as a trial exhibit, and the comb in the evidence bag is not. Furthermore, they said the comb presented at trial should be sealed with other evidence and at the Attorney General, not here.
Right.
So... it's a little bit interesting. The box also contained 23 numbered and dated notebooks prepared by the Holtz, one of the cops, with the exception of number 13. They claim number 13 notebook covers a time period when Holtz was dealing with jailhouse informant Raymond Martre, who testified Smith killed the 3. Right. They say that they had long challenged whether there was a deal with this inmate to testify. They allege in the petition that the cop wrote in another notebook that this prisoner quoted Smith as saying he did not kill Reinert. Okay, now, this is getting a little bit weird here. They said normally exculpatory evidence comes from the Commonwealth. This is the first time it came from a junk man on the way to the incinerator because they pulled it out of some cop's attic while he moved or like died or some shit. So the court then revisits the case, obviously, and they find out that Holtz had been paid $50,000 by the author of this book, and that's a big fucking thing there because they found the money trail as that goes. The Supreme Court ruling also cast aspersions on the prosecutor in the tape, Richard Guida, who had since resigned in disgrace after being incarcerated for cocaine distribution. Oh, my God. During his trial, he admitted using cocaine while pursuing charges against Smith, and his prior conduct was called into question. So they bring Smith in. This carries out through 1992 when they find out that not only had the prosecution failed to try their case with integrity, utilizing testimony that was hearsay, but it actually withheld evidence from the trial that might have helped him. Number one, they withheld evidence that they believe that all the friends were down at the beach, and they said that, quote, they found sand between the toes of Susan's fucking feet in the car.
What?
They found sand when they did the autopsy. So finding sand at least gives reasonable doubt as to what the fuck is going on with Jay, at least. It makes Bill more guilty.
Yeah.
That's a way he could have had her, but it makes Jay way less guilty. So he ends up being let out of prison on grounds of prosecutorial misconduct.
This son of a bitch.
Jay gets out. And finally, by the way, 1996, they've been fighting over the money forever in the will. Finally, money's taken out of a bank account controlled by Bill Bradfield and his long-term love interest, Joanne Aitken, in 1996 from 1983. There, Smith alleged that Wambaugh not only defamed him, but conspired with law enforcement to frame him for 3 murders he was originally convicted of, calling him a goat-eyed sociopath. So that lawsuit is gone in 1998, but then there's a lawsuit against Wambaugh, and Smith would end up trying to live his life in obscurity here. 1998, William Bradford Jr. dies in prison at 64. Yep, heart attack in prison. They found him unresponsive in his cell.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now, in his possession, though, they found a photograph which was found alongside some coded writings and other items, seemed to have been developed in 1986, years after his conviction, and appears to have been set in a wooded area. The photograph is centered around a very distinct-looking stone, which may be a marker or not a marker, they don't know. They said you can see trees in the background, leaves on the ground surrounding the stone, which they believe could be the burial spot for Karen and Michael. Since their bodies haven't been found, it was theorized this could be a picture of a grave site, but he never explains it and he dies.
That would be the sickest shit on the planet.
Yeah.
If he went to prison for murder and then kept a photograph of where he put them. That's disgusting.
Wouldn't surprise me. Jay Smith gets married in 2002.
What?
He worked as a personal care home administrator, and then he retired. He managed an adult daycare center. He also wrote his own book entitled Joseph Wambaugh and the J. Smith Case. In the J. Smith case, he wrote it in January 2009. He said, "I wanted to make sure that if anybody ever studied Wambaugh in the future, they would find out what he wanted to do to me." Yeah. So there's all of that.
Fuck me like a chihuahua.
Fuck me like a chihuahua. Like a
scumbag.
He paid a service $1,800 to publish his book.
Self-published shit.
It's a self-published. Yeah, he didn't have a thing here. So they said that one student wrote a review and said that they attended Upper Merion High School while he was principal and can attest to his bizarre, unsettling, off-putting presentation. He said he's a weird guy, but he said that Bradfield had a charismatic attraction to many students who I knew and considered intelligent and well-grounded, and they still liked him. So it's one of those things. May 12, 2009, Jay Smith dies of a heart problem, mere months after his book is released.
Perhaps it's just riddled with guilt and his heart just exploded.
A Pennsylvania state trooper said, to wrap this up, "I would certainly say there's a possibility of a third person out there, a probability."
What?
2020, as of 2020, there was this article, and they said they still don't know what the fuck happened. The kids have been missing for 40 years. Obviously, they've been killed and never found. the one of the policemen said it's one of those cases that people just don't forget about. The efforts made to find those kids was second to none, and they were just never found. Hope springs eternal for closure for the family, but I just don't know whether they'll ever be found.
What about Stephanie and Eddie? Did they ever find them?
Never found Stephanie and Eddie. No trace of them. Fucking gone off the face of the earth. Never turned up again.
Those two fucks murdered people that they didn't want around. That's what they did.
Exactly. It's exactly what happened.
They had to.
It has to be.
There's no other solution.
By the way, everybody can look into this. There is so many trails of breadcrumbs, and you have no idea how hard this was to make this into a concise narrative because there's so much shit everywhere and evidence. It's over a 40-year period, for Christ's sake. It's all over the place. If you like that episode, you like anything that we do.
James.
What a story. Get over to whatever app you're listening on. I don't know. Just give us 5 stars. It helps a lot. Write something nice about us. It helps drive us up the charts. Help your boys out.
Yeah.
ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com is where you get all the bonus. Or no, that's where you get tickets to live shows. Sorry. Chicago, August 12th. Get your asses in there, Chicago. Let's do this. It's going to be our biggest show ever. Be a part of it.
Yeah.
A Chicago-only live show.
Right.
ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. Also, Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte, and a couple tickets left in Philly. Still available. Everything else is sold out. So get those tickets right now and get in there. Also, patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody $5 or above, you get all the bonus material, a couple hundred back bonus episodes, new ones every other week, one crime and sports, one small town murder. You get access to what, Jimmy?
All of
it. That's right, goddammit. This week is no different. What we have for you for crime and sports, we're going to talk about 1919 Black Sox, big scandal through the World Series, mafia, lots of fun shit. And then we're going to talk about, for small town murder, some weird stories from the Titanic.
Right.
From survivors and some weird shit. A lady threw a baby in a garbage can. We'll talk all about it. Tons of weird shit. And other sea mysteries we'll throw in there, a couple as well. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show. Before we do that, follow us on social media. We are at Small Town Murder on Instagram and Threads, I think, there, and at Murder Small on Twitter, and at Small Town Pod on Facebook.
We're all over the place.
That said, Jimmy, hit me with the list of the most wonderful people who would never, ever hold us hostage for days, beat us, and then inject us with a lethal dose of morphine. Jimmy, hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett. See you in Denver, Jordan.
See you there.
Henri Rolfheimer McDougal, welcome to the shit show, little buddy.
Well,
he was born.
You.
Oh, wow. I imagine.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Vanara Boone, I believe. I don't know. Maybe. Rad Barnard, also. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. You're terrific.
You're awesome.
Other producers this week are Gary Friedman. He'd like to start a fund to help edit Steve Williams' book or just correct poll to poll.
There's a lot of
the typos.
Yeah, there's some typos. And it's a good book otherwise, too. Yeah.
Also, Rabbi Shmulalovich's pet Spider Mel, Edith Bunker, and Reverend Fletcher, who never got to consummate their friendship.
It's Felcher, actually.
Is it? Oh, the Apple doesn't like the word Felcher. It would rather call him Fletcher.
I think also because Archie used to get it wrong.
Oh, really?
Go, I don't give I don't care what his name is because he never went to church.
Maybe Archie's brain has the same software as Apple.
Yeah, he just never goes to church, so they don't. It was one of those. That's
Corporal Carl Kirshner and his to-do list longer than Toe Nash's dong, evidently.
Oh, wow, that's long.
That's a big one. Peyton Meadows, Janice Hill, and Eaton Regulars. Thank you guys all for being a part of this.
Fucking rock.
We also have Jessica Johnson, Molly Huff, Catherine Wickhage, I think, MK, Ultra, obviously, Susan Cecchini. It's delicious noodles is what it is. Don Wildenstein,
so good.
Danish with no last name. Andrew McClure, Mac Barrera, Hunter Stanley, Gary Trabuccio.
Hey, Trabuccio, get the fuck over here. What are you doing?
Ripley Fellman, Matt with no last name, Michael Kaczynski, Lance Chefe maybe, Beige Angel, all those Beige Angels.
Those beige babies.
Ryan O'Connor, Benjamin Milborn, Tauchia Blake, Tusha Blake, what is this? Bicious. Oh, boy. Christina McLeod, Isaiah Hoffman, Margaret R., Peter Dunham, April Yulshafer. Oh, boy, this is going to be long because there's so many. Morgan Hovis, Mohammed Matuzi, Emily Sears, Corey Jassa Bruder, Nene Akpan, Bob C., Tassie Calvert, Aaron Brads, Kendo Slice, Tiffany Alston, Michael Davis, Eaton Beaver. All right. Dalen with no last name. Melissa Amon, Scott O'Brien, Amy Wood, Bill Rose, Dan Myers, Leanne Norilis, and Lauren Richardson. It's the second time I've done that in my life.
Richardson.
I gotta stop that one. Adam Manuel, Tara C., all on accident. Ainsley. Camille Collar with no last name. Wait, that is her last name. Josh Koch, or Coach maybe. Jason with no last name. Ginny, your co-host. Lance Vargas, Amber Deering, Amy Shanks, Christopher Centurani. Yep. Caroline H.
You got it.
Carolyn, maybe. Michael Ashford, Damian Tony Jr., Alexandra Savory, Victoria, the Geeky Sandbox, Gabriella Dion. Davila Ferrara. We all know her, Richardson. John Hardy, Emily Scheider. Ooh, that's German for shit, isn't it? Bethany with no last name. Amy Deal. Dustin is a jerk. Sam Toohey. Megan Dewberry. Amelia.
Jesus Christ.
Amelia Kelly.
Wow.
I need to.
Impressive.
I'm going to die. All right. Vanessa Martin, LD care of Big Larry. Cheryl Shockey. Dylan Northrup, Travis Davis, Katie Overturf, Ben Martin, Jennifer Provan, Ali Nanini, Danny Horton, Karen Stearns, Carrie Bucci, yeah, Samuel Bartek, Peter Castagna, Angelique Kegelar, oh boy, Wilka Wilson, Julie Topin maybe, Eva, evocative Shane, Baby Mona Lisa Vito, Tori Rosenfeld, Kristen is Kristen is quadriplegious, James. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So dirty. Alex Castile, Tracy Lido, Seem Hang, Taylor with no last name, Larry Bird's mustache, Courtney Yeager, Leslie Esquivel. Mustache. It's a terrible mustache.
Blonde mustaches just don't work. Sorry.
Mateus Spurlash, Jessica Olin, Zachary Deniston, Abby Gualoto, oh no. Jonathan Everett, Dylan Purcell, Jake Underwood, Sean Blevins, Lynn Lipford, Paula Bradley, Kevin the Chihuahua, Jillian Gorgeous maybe, Diane Booth, John Martin, Sig Sauer 229, Paul F., probably not Tompkins though, Julian Porbadink, Melissa, Mrs. Crum in Utah, Kayla maybe, Ross, Ashley Moore, Tracy with no last name, Matt Barry, Jackson Schmidt, Megan Orchikowski, Brandon Viljic, Diane with no last name. Nope. David O. I'm not betting shit on it. Bo with no last name, Audrey Murphy, Paul Farrow, Mark with no last name, Michelle McKee, Miles with no last name, Magna Mobley, John Colley, Marion Strout Orso, Aiden Snyder, Corey Jarrett, Matthew DeRicio, Clarissa Martinez, Samuel Higgins, Bree Bullard, Katie Clark, Steve Stanford, Jordan Amy, Kevin Gray, Tina Esquibel, Jessica Miranda Williamson, Jeremy Armand, Stephen McCarty, Anthony Fenn, Leslie with no last name, Maggie with no last name, Madden, Hillier. What? That one broke me. Stephanie Clark, Alex Foster, Garrett Rutherforth, Devin Dahlgren, Brandon Philbrick, David Roman, Kara Sam, Marissa Highcar, Dale with no last name, Clark Lockout. Caitlin Randell's, Preston with no last name, Kurt, Van Hook, Jordan Addison, Alex Ropes, Justin Rockhold, oh boy, Calvin Little, Jessica Smearmagalia,
yeah,
Demario with no last name, Jill Vise, Francesca McCutcheon, Jack with no last name, Aaron Schlack, Emmylou Porter, Candace with no last name, Toby Brown, Kev with no last name, Alexis Brooks, Danny Shelton, Rebecca Underwood, Chris M. Tanis Nadal, Melissa Incaravi, Incarvalia, Linda Odom, Oldham, Lorraine Murray, Haley Muir, Susie Betcher, Mark Griffin,
your ass at Susie.
Maddie Janot, Rebecca McIntyre, Robert Marinell, Cynthia Palmer, Aaron Kustuch, I don't know. Mary Ambigola, Abibola,
A lot of C's and ooches in there.
Abimbola, Merodeo, John Spalding, Katani Ferrari, Audra Wajdi, Nikki Baker, RJ with no last name, Jackson Beasley, Gavin Holzington, Jason Smitzer-Flugen. What? Smitzer-Flugen?
Yes. Awesome.
Is that a real word, Smitzer-Flugen?
I fucking hope so. That's awesome.
Adele.
I ordered that once from a Wiener Schnitzel.
Can I get a Smitzer-Flugen?
It was pretty good.
Adele Martins, Jenna Running, Scott Slager, Mikkel Jeter, Chrissy McKinney, James Stapleton, Donald Monk, Deanna Johnson, Sarah Deasy, and Desiree Quezada, and obviously all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much from the bottom of our hearts. If you want to follow us, very easy to do that. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com. The list is there. All the links. Follow us. Go there, and there you go. We will talk to you if you talk to us. There you go. Thank you so much. Keep coming. Keep coming back next week. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.